This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Have you tried the Name Your Price tool yet? It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to find a rate that works for you. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive. Get your quote today at Progressive.com and see why 4 out of 5 new auto customers recommend Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, and that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have my profit percentage partner, Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Oh my God. I'm chilling, man.
What's so funny? We're not profit percentage partners? No?
I run not talking about that on air.
Oh, okay. I want to see the numbers. Where is this $400,000 coming up missing from? What is going on?
What 400,000? And this podcast isn't any of your business, James.
Oh, okay. Look, I'm not Maul or Rory. I'm Parks in this shit, bitch. I'll shut this bitch down. I am recording. Fuck you mean? Look, man. We're starting there. I thought I just basically threw this on you. We're starting there. I have listened to... I'm not a regular listener of the Joe Budden podcast. I am somebody that will check in maybe like once every 2 months and check out like a couple minutes here or whatever else. I do enjoy the chemistry that those three had. I think they are funny while also being incredibly problematic, right? We have talked plenty of times about how Maul is a blatant homophobe or like the worst covert homophobe imaginable. Like, but anyway, that I listened to Budden's podcast from that he deleted or whatever else. I listened to in its entirety. I listened to the Rory and Maul podcast from the weekend. I even listened to like the 15-60 minute Joe response to it. I don't know how much of any of those three things you watch, but I watched all of them, and like I feel like these three people have decided that like their principles are more important than making whatever money they were making together or whatever. And I think that like ultimately going over some of the petty things they said about each other, this was brewing for a long time, and this was inevitable regardless of however this happened. And the things that they're arguing about are of such slight distinction that like ultimately doesn't matter. Like for one side to say we are profit percentage partners, and the Joe on the other side say, we are not profit percentage partners. Y'all just make a percentage based off the profit I make, which is like, so are we arguing over whether they're partners or not? Or what's going on here? What are we doing? It was just weird. Like, I'm not going to go into nitty-gritty details, but what are your thoughts on it? Like, objectively. Try to be objective. Don't just be the huge Joe Budden fan. Like, objectively, what do you think about it? He's going to give me the Joe Budden fan stuff anyway. Go ahead.
So I didn't see the 16-minute response thing,
Okay.
But I heard the other two things.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, kind of like you said. I feel like I had mentioned to Alex the other day. I
Alex
was like,
is my cousin.
this is nothing.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Alex is my older cousin. Me, Rich, and Alex, or me and Alex actually met Rich for the first time together. And when we were doing the music thing together, we were doing it all together for a long period of me and Rich's friendship. And then I left out, and Alex is now lives in Atlanta. He's been on the podcast every time throughout the years for stuff mostly involving like music. So go ahead, Rich.
yeah. So I had told him, I was like, these just sound like three guys that have, they have unresolved stuff, and that they have never settled for years, and they never really talk about what is the line with each other. They never talk about, what they didn't like. They never talk about, their friendship or anything. And it's like, I think the other ones, I think Rory and Maul feeling themselves a little bit. I think Joe obviously is feeling himself like,
I agree too.
So it's like everybody's trying to say, this, I'm the reason. Everybody wants the credit, and it's a dirty game like that, especially like when these dudes won't, or they don't seem like they're capable of confronting each other in a way that is either like non-physical or is like a way that they can both understand where the others are coming from. They have it, they have like one step deeper with this because they have like lawyers involved in all this shit, and lawyers just make everything muddier no matter what the situation is. But run starting in, like, it was a good run for him, and I think Joe was the primary draw for that. Absolutely. And he's going to continue to he's going to continue to do whatever with his new hosts or everything like that, and we'll see what Royal Maul do. Because I think they're going to get a lot of sympathy off this stuff. Like, they getting a nice little, how Bret Hart got sent into WCW, and it's like, you got a perfect launching pad off that evil, quote unquote, evil motherfucker over there.
If there's not, that would be true if there weren't like a 1-year non-compete that Joe is going to exercise. Like, that's amazing. That's the part where I'm just like, all right, Joe, you have gone beyond the pale. Like, when he said I will
Rory and Maul, they got, look, Rory and Maul, they have to try that. Like, if they don't try it, like,
as far as
like, they are like, yes, like,
they kind of
they
already did. Like, doing that podcast, wouldn't that be a quote unquote breach? I mean, I guess it depends on if they mean an official podcast, blah 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 blah. Technicalities involved, I don't know, but like, for a 1-year non-compete that Joe Budden allegedly can exercise, they sure did put up another fucking podcast to charge people $2 a piece for it, like, days later. I thought it was quite interesting.
I think they need to go ahead and try to challenge that in court and try to go ahead and do that, or else waiting that long, I don't think it'll be to their benefit. Like, because then they're going to almost be like, remember us, here's the true story and all this stuff. It's like, nah, bro, you got to get this. Like, what is it, May? You got to get this popped off before next NBA season. Like, like, you got to figure something out. You got to figure something out, bro. But yeah, it's Team Joe all the way over here. One monkey, two monkeys don't stop no show. So,
that's the name of a Goody Mob album, right? After CeeLo didn't show up for a session or for a whole album.
I did not.
Yes. That was like right after like CeeLo blew up, and
that doesn't sound wise.
Depends. Yeah, CeeLo, after like becoming the big soul singer, is different than like when he was doing the soul singing thing and also just rapping with Goody Mob. It's like, that man elevated. He totally elevated. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, I just believe that these people were fed up with each other.
I think they're like I think they're like most men. They have a problem expressing their communication, their feelings, and their emotions.
Yeah, I think Yeah, and I think the main thing with Joe is Joe was hardlining in a way hypocritical, given like what you think of with the Spotify stuff, where he's like, we want the numbers, open this shit up, transparency, and then obviously there were real grievances like, you know, we were owed a bonus, they gave us some fucking watches that weren't even close to bonus we were earned or all that kind of stuff back then, you know. What was that, 8 months ago or whatever else when they decided to leave Spotify, and he was airing them out for months. But it's really weird to talk about how he was talking and obviously a lot of that is turning up and giving, you know, rhetoric and trying to be you know, or not trying to be, but like, you know, I am fighting the machine. And then like, on the other end is like, you gotta remember, man, machines come in all sizes, and I don't think Joe necessarily recognized that. And when you know, there's people have concerns about money mismanagement or whatever else, and that comes with the territory, right? So I think it was a problem that they never resolved, and the way Joe handled it was so just flat out rude. And I understand that, like, I pay y'all more, y'all are overpaid, but like, that's not how relationships work in real life, even if people are well paid. It's like, yeah, I shoot, you know, I'll pay you more money than you ever imagine you can make. Now, Dance Monkey isn't exactly, nobody's really trying to hear that. I don't give a damn if the highest paid monkey in the world. So
only Jey Uso would seem to be cool with this, and
that was written, and that is a dramatization. That is fake. We're talking about real life. So, you know, like, that's the issue inherent in this. Like, you don't want to open quote unquote books, and then for, like, you know, the back and forth of who told who what. Like, the fact that, like, you know, whoever decided that it's gonna come down to auditing, whether it was Joe or whatever else, is like, bruh, you are really that hard pressed not that you ain't gonna show them shit. It's like, hey man, like, this could be, I feel like this is something that, like, it starts off there, and then it leads into all these other small things that are insignificant, like adding up to the, you know what, it's been weird for a minute. I remember some shit that I had let go that I still remember, but I had let go, and then it just turns to the process and it snowballs from there. And that's clearly where this is. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't think there's really much to go into it further, but I think, like,
I did have a great, I took great pleasure in DJ Academics roasting Ruri, you know, in Mealy Mall. You know, Academics was quite hilarious, playing the Who I Smoke and everything. Just the Ruri pack was in the air.
Y'all, you and the rest of the group, like, y'all were more into that. Like, our friend group, our super close day one friend group is, like, really more into, like, Kirby. Y'all are way more into the academic side. I don't really care. You know, like, you know,
yo, he's fucking hilarious when it comes to Rory. Like, bro, yeah. Like, anything else is like, bro, I could just take or leave him. But, like, when it comes to Rory, he has, like, a personal problem with that man. So he's like, I'm gonna make your life hell. I'm just gonna ride on you and roast you. Like,
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, like, Charlotte almost dropped Asuka on her head on, like, a wheelbarrow flip. Anyway, or a monkey flip. But anyway, yeah, I just thought it was just interesting to see, like, this is what happens when you have, like, we are friends. Let's do some business, and then because we're friends, we'll worry about the business stuff on the back end. Mm-hmm. Nah, like, for communication's sake, and for sanity and peace of mind, and the, you know, not harbor resentments or whatever else, in the future, everybody listening, handle that shit on the front end. Rich, we've seen plenty of that stuff, like, dealing with that, like, the friendship, and then, like, you worry when it comes down to breaking bread or whatever else, or terms or whatever else after the fact. I've learned over the years, like, nah, handle that. If y'all are friends, if there's any business coming up, before y'all get into it, understand what your terms are, and then go there first. Set those boundaries in place, and then, you know, obviously, you know, contracts or whatever else, they have an expiration date. Like, you'll navigate and manage that relationship later on. But this was just bad. This is like one of those things where it's like, in retrospect, this was inevitable. It was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was always gonna happen.
Yeah. Now,
amazing.
The thing that I found interesting was like, everybody, listen to all of them. They're all agreeing on a lot of these things. Like, yes, we are overpaid. It wasn't really about the money, and all the stuff. It was about like just trust. It was about trust, and it broke down. So, unfortunately for them, they were pretty much number one, like, rap podcasting thing or whatever else. Joe will still be around. He'll still be top, and that's one of the things that me and you were talking about with Budden. Like, this may have been like a year ago, 2 years ago. It was like, it's interesting that like they are a pseudo insider trade podcast because Joe used to be in the industry. They get all the advanced stuff or whatever else. They get to talk about it. They have relationships with these people, like Pusha T, when I got the interview after he, destroyed Drake. Like, it's interesting that, like, Joe has a bigger influence on the rap game than he ever did as a rapper. And, like, I think that's really
amazing.
I remember at the time we were talking about, like, yeah, man, like, ultimately, Joe was a great rapper. He was someone that wasn't necessarily the most popular in the world, obviously. But at the end, he ended up getting to this platform to where he's bigger than he ever would have been otherwise just rapping.
Right. And it's almost like, like some of the stuff that was coming, I was like, oh, y'all trying to make Joe the villain? Oh, that's cool. That's something to laugh at. Joe has no problem being the villain. Right. Like that's kind of where he lives. And that's kind of the sentiment of the 15-minute like response to the Rory and Mal podcast. He kind of was like, yeah, I'm the villain. I'm fine with that. Like all the stuff, like a good amount of the stuff that he like that there was the argument after that he had brought up that they refuted. He was like, yeah, they're right. And he was like, yeah, it's going to be a bad week it felt like it's going to suck for a while, but like, I'll survive it. And he's probably right. Like, this ain't going to be good for him. Like, but it is the thing is like, a lot of people, Joe, because he's bared his soul and his music for so many people, and he's had all these fights on the betterment of artists and blah, 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 got down the line. There are people that, and you understand this, people have a real attachment to Joe to think that he is like this, I don't want to say a martyr, maybe at different points earlier in his career, as far as like being so for like opening this shit up for everybody that's trying to make money in it, that like, he is someone that is worthy of, or not, I don't want to say worthy, someone that can be easy to root for at different points. And like, so the bad guy thing, the bad guy part is like the stuff when I talk about like, all the allegations with him and women and like whether or not he, put his hands on a bunch of different women that he's been involved with over the years and the way he's handled relationships and all that kind of stuff. So, it is what it is with him. Like, he's still gonna be popular because obviously there's always because he is. Like, you see it, like the numbers still pretty much stabilized after those two left. But we'll see where this goes. I think it does suck because they did have the chemistry regardless of if I thought like, oh yeah, like Mal's being trash, Joe's being trash, Rory's being trash, toxic, etc. Like, or they go off on some rant on somebody that I think is unwarranted. But like, end of era, I guess. Yeah. Well, shit, you say end of an era, so I want to talk about New Jack real quick. So New Jack passed away. I believe he was 58 years old. He died of a heart attack. So New Jack is someone I brought up on this show just last week, I believe, and James brought up as an example. And I was like, man, you just reminded me I need to go do my annual watch of all the New Jack promos. And then I got the news, and I was watching some show, and I was just like, I was kind of blown. I was like, man, and I thought about it. I'm like, man, New Jack probably lived a hell of a life. Like, why am I sitting here sad? Like, New Jack, one of the greatest promos ever in the history of wrestling. I believe he could have done a promo about anything, and it would have been great. But the content of his promos were so like. It's something that has to go back and be appreciated because I feel like he was so ahead of his time. you weren't looking for technical precision necessarily with New Jack when it comes to the wrestling and all that, but just the package of New Jack playing the music throughout his matches. So it's like the matches are short and compact, but like the song like makes it crazier. He's doing all the crazy dives off everything. His Dark Side of the Ring came out last year, and I think that kind of shined the light on him. I actually got to see New Jack, I want to say about 7 or 8 years ago at an indie show, so that was a hell of a experience. And his shoot interviews, like I want to say one of the first columns I ever wrote for What Culture back in the day. It was like people that it was like X amount of people that have great shoot interviews, and he was like number one on my shit. And it was just like whoever you wanted, he was just like ripping them a new asshole. And I think he's really he's on that Brian Pillman side of workers, I would say, as far as like approaching the wrestling business and as far as people believing him, because I think people legitimately thought he was crazy, but I think he was working everybody. Like, like this guy, I think he was so far ahead, and he used his blackness to scare everybody. And, in a business where he's wrestling in the Southeast and Kentucky and like Tennessee, and it was real easy to be scary. And then, he brings that to ECW, and I think, he kind of, they ease off of what the Gangsters was, like, kind of in Smoky Mountain. But, it changed in another way, like where they're baby faces and all that. But I think everyone will always remember New Jack, will always remember those promos. And, I think that he is someone that will forever be revered, at least by me. And, I will enjoy his promos probably on an annual basis forever. So,
okay, so before we transition, I'm just going to give you this quick update on Raw. They did Charlotte versus Asuka. Rhea comes down to ringside. Charlotte and Rhea start arguing while Rhea is sitting in a chair by the announce table. She's not doing commentary. She works over Asuka's leg. Asuka gets, Asuka and Charlotte fight by Rhea. Rhea almost caught a spinning back fist, but Rhea blocked it with the double forearms. They end up back in the ring. Rhea gets up on the apron. Charlotte comes running towards her. Misses the big boot by a mile, but big boots, let's say in quotation, Rhea off of the apron. Asuka goes for the schoolboy. Charlotte rolls through to her feet, goes for the figure four. Asuka grabs her head and gets the small package victory. So like this is like a rock paper scissors thing. Like Asuka can now beat Charlotte.
I hate this feud.
Asuka can now beat Charlotte, but Asuka can't beat Rhea. And we know that Rhea can't beat Charlotte, or at least not yet. So, like, this is just continuing. I don't know what for. Obviously, it's a lack of other people. But, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. That, like, after that match last night, they're still continuing.
Amazing.
Like, I imagine, like, it's got to be just their placeholding so they can get to, like, SummerSlam and do Charlotte and Rhea. It feels like it. Anyway, what's next?
Yeah, so rest in peace, New Jack. So we got a couple other things. So I kind of want to, I want to talk about the pay-per-view, of course, but also the Basketball Hall of Fame was this weekend.
Okay.
So most loaded Hall of Fame class possibly of all time. We got Kobe Bryant went in, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Tamika Catchings, Rudy Tomjanovich, a couple other folks too. So, but as far as like stars, like there are people saying this is the greatest Hall of Fame class ever. So,
it's up there. The only other one I would think would be like the 09 one with Jordan and David Robinson and John Stockton, right? Would that be the only other one?
I think that's the only one people are talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. It was I watched all three speeches. Tim Duncan looks like crazy with the new hair that he has, but he's living this man living a whole new life. That man got the new wife, the new kids, and you know, Duncan's like is not the Tim Duncan you remember. You know, I was a huge Tim Duncan fan. He earned my respect pretty much forever in 2003 when he just mopped the floor with the Lakers. And you know, for years and years, I was like, this man's the best. This man's the best. And you know, I was very proud to watch how his career played out, sticking with one team. And you know, they talk about a lot about the Spurs system. Well, the Spurs system was number 21, like for all them fucking years, like, and you know, he went in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, you know, that it seems like, you know, oh yeah, of course he's going to the Hall of Fame, but it's just good to see him. And you know, Duncan he's not really the most public person, so he did some media. He did a good interview with Rachel Nichols that I recommend everybody check out, and just showing more of his personality, and you kind of see why he's so beloved and all that. The Kevin Garnett one, he didn't. I thought this was going to be like a Ray Lewis type. I thought he was going to, you know, go out, but KG was pretty reserved in his speech. Of course, he did not mention Ray Allen once, which was hilarious. Yeah, he did mention Paul Pierce though. You know, well, I wanted more. I wanted more from KG, but
go at your point. Go. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say I wanted more from KG, but you know, it is what it is. Like it was good to see KG too. KG also, he in his later years he went through a bad divorce, kind of like Duncan, and he was there with his daughters. And you know, about KG, would you want to say?
Yeah, so the thing with the Ray Allen thing and the Paul Pierce thing is like he didn't have a relationship with Ray outside of when they were doing the, you know, the in or out thing on the hop or on the double Dutch, where it's like, you going to Boston, you going to Boston. Like before that, like they've never really had much of a line of communication aside from like meeting at, you know, All-Star stuff like that, and maybe even like the 2000 Olympics. But yeah, like, but but Paul Pierce and KG were like, they knew each other since fucking high school. Like, you ever hear the story about them in Vegas?
No.
Paul Pierce and KG in like 1994, 3, can't remember. They were in Vegas for some either Nike camp or Adidas camp, can't remember. And they were in a taxi. They didn't have money for this taxi. And Paul Pierce says to KG, "Hey, bruh, let's just jump out on the fair." Long story short, Paul Pierce got away. Kevin Garnett did not.
Yeah,
like that's
7-foot black man, you know,
right,
you know, right. Kind of easy to identify.
Right, you are not safe. You are not safe until you get back to either South Carolina or Chicago. So, like, so that was a story. Like he's had a relationship with him dating back for decades. So I understand why they were always, you know, in the whole Rondo, Ray Allen, Celtics after Ray Allen left for Miami. I understand why it went. It makes more sense now that I know more about it, why it went the way it went. And also, like, you know, it's really weird. It's really weird how they ended up working out with that team, because, like, obviously they only won one title. They're a memorable team because it's 3 first ballot Hall of Famers get together in their 30s and they end up, you know, winning a title. But yeah, like, as far as KG was always my guy. Like, I respected Duncan. I just always thought that, like, you look at both of their games, you look at both of their situations. Like, I remember reading, I think Chuck Klosterman said it best when he was talking about Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, as far as, like, this is closer, but I remember him saying, like, yeah, Russell probably have to say is better, but, like, there is a universe where if we run this back a bunch of times, Wilt Chamberlain could be Bill Russell. Bill Russell absolutely could never have been Wilt Chamberlain. And, like, I think you look at the skill set and the time frame they were in, and you look at, like, both of them were obviously ahead of their time, but, like, you look at where the game has gone and what KG's game ultimately would have been, and you look at someone like Anthony Davis, you're like, dude, it's making 17 All-Star games, being a fucking league MVP and all that kind of stuff, and having one of the great PER years ever and all that stuff, and being, you know, the best defensive player of his era that KG was, he was still a victim of being, like, before his time. So I see, and also the terrible management of them where they're you know, they have to give up first round draft picks because they were out here, you know, paying people under the table with Joe Smith and all that stuff. Is like,
boy,
he deserves a statue for in Minnesota, and also they screwed up his prime, and he was way too loyal and should have got the fuck out of there way before. And you know, it was so weird. Like I think that the talk of KG in the playoffs and whatever else, I think that was greatly overstated, especially when you just look back at like what he was doing in these first rounds that he would get knocked out of as an 8 seed playing on these shitty teams. It's like, hey man, like, I understand Duncan's dope, but like, are we really pretending that like, and also a lot of them Spurs teams are overrated too. But like, it wasn't like he was dealing with some of the stuff that like, that KG was. And like, it's just the luck of the draw with all this stuff. You know, like KG probably wasn't supposed to be as good as he ended up turning out to be. And that's high praise considering he's one of the, 20 greatest NBA talents ever, but it is what it is. But I'm happy for him. I was super happy when he won the title in 2008. And you know, the rest of his career after like 2013, which is more or less like he just around, he's being a vet for other bigs. Like, we always talk about, like, how everybody in that era that, like, came up, like, everybody ended up idolizing KG weirdly over Duncan, even though it's, like, their games aren't that dissimilar, right? Like, there's more sizzle to KG's game, right? Like, he obviously is someone that could have brought the ball and been a point forward at points, but like, their games aren't entirely different. Like, they're great defenders. They protected the rim. They play great help defense. They're excellent communicators. They both had incredible range for that era for bigs out to 20 feet. They both had post games. Duncan's was more pronounced because he had more of a size advantage. Like,
incredible heart, incredible teammates.
Right.
Incredible physical presences, I would say, even right. KG for his slight, quote unquote, slight stature. Yeah. And then, of course, Kobe, Vanessa Bryant was up there with Michael Jordan and just absolutely just hit a home run out the park with her speech. And, you know, she spoke at the funeral before, and it's almost like the basketball funeral now. And it's like, you know, I was watching it, got real upset at the end and was crying and all that. And she handled it about as good as one can handle it. And it was almost like, I know we had his funeral last year, but it was almost like the true farewell kind of for Kobe. And
right. I can't watch any of that stuff. I just can't. I can't.
Like, I wasn't gonna watch it, and then I was like, I watched the Duncan one, I watched the KG one, and Duncan was talking about Pop at the end. It was getting all emotional. I was like, oh man. And then I was like, well, I might as well go ahead and watch Vanessa. And then I watched it, and it was just like, you know, I was wrecked after watching it.
I couldn't watch it because the same reason I didn't watch his funeral is like, I just not. I'm just not. I have a weird guilt with Kobe because, and we talked about this off air before, like, you know, like, he was my guy. Is like, he's going to be, he's going to be the face of the league eventually at some point, and he obviously got there. But the thing that like really hurt me when I was young was like the Colorado shit, right? Like, I like this person that I thought was, you know, this person I like idolized and was like, this is going to be the next fucking Jordan and all that stuff. And it's like, holy shit, like he might be a rapist. And like, I didn't know how to handle that for a long, long time. I still struggle with it. Not that I'm never going to be at peace with it, because I obviously don't know what the fuck happened in Colorado. But I just, for years, I distanced myself, like, emotionally from attaching myself to Kobe after, like, he was a big fucking deal in my life for, from like 2001 on, or like actually earlier than that, like 90, probably 98, really. And like my emotions for like the how I feel of losing him at that age and everything, like it makes me feel guilty, and then it makes me feel even more guilty, because like, what am I feeling guilty for? This person may have done something fucking horrible, and like, so it's like it's like watching I don't know if you watched the Dark Side of the Ring with Benoit. It's like,
yeah,
I feel terrible while they're telling this story of Eddie, of him losing Eddie, and how they made it from Japan all the way to the number one wrestling promotion in the world, and had this incredible story at WrestleMania 22. He murders his young child and his wife, and it's like, I feel guilty that I feel bad for him losing Eddie, and I also feel guilty that it's like he's also even more so like obviously killed these two people, and it's like it's turned into a circle of fucking grief. And like with Kobe, is like, I feel guilty that this person may have been somebody terrible, and I still like when he achieved and all this other stuff because of how hard he worked and how exciting of a player he was, and how much of an all-time great player he was, and how I know that like I'm never going to see in my lifetime 10 basketball talents like that. I'm just not. I know that because I've read through the history of basketball. I'm never going to see 10 of those. I'm just not. Like, and like, that's why it's like, I just can't watch the Kobe stuff. I just couldn't. And that's why, like, I broke down when we were talking about Kobe, when we came back, or during that Royal Rumble show when we had to talk about Kobe. Just like, all of that just hit me, and I was like avoiding it for that whole week when it, after it happened, because I just didn't want to deal with it. Or actually it was like 2 days later, it wasn't even a week, and I just knew like I don't want to watch any tributes or whatever else is gonna make me just feel just fucking horrible, and I'm just gonna spit or cycle out. So like, over a year removed from it, like I'm still fucking about it. Like I want to cry right now, but like I'm trying to keep myself together, but
like watching that speech literally put me back into when I got the news. And I don't want to get all morbid and all that, but I'll just speak about his basketball career. And he was always my favorite player from, the slam dunk contest on. And I was like, this is the dude, like this is the young guy, like this is the dude that I'm like attaching everything to. And I saw how hard he worked. I watched him just battle and own the Western Conference, whatever defender you want. The Kobe stopper, Ruben Patterson, Doug Christie, where you at? Shandon Anderson, Derek Anderson, Bruce Bowen, come get all this.
Artest.
Yeah, Ron Artest, Shane Battier, J.R. Smith, all these folks, and it was just like he's my Jordan, and it was like I was so happy to see him win the two titles in 2009 and 2010, and 2010 is my favorite Laker title, and it was just like, I mentioned it last year, like I'll probably never love the game like I did when Kobe was playing, and I think he helped save USA basketball. Basically setting the standard of excellence. Like, we're gonna get out here and defend, and and guys since have picked it up, and ain't had to look back since. And I think that I'll never love basketball again, like without Kobe. So or in the same way. And I he'll forever be missed. And it sucks that we didn't get to see him sitting up there like Isaiah Thomas was sitting next to KG, like David Robinson was sitting next to Tim Duncan, like Jordan was up there. Like, and it's just like, he's forever gonna kind of stay young in a sense. Like, he's just kind of frozen in time. And I won't ever forget that time. Yeah.
And it's just weird. It's just like it's so fucked up that it's like, the Hall of Fame is effectively a living funeral. like, you are basically eulogizing somebody that's here with us and what they gave to the sport that they were in. And like, once they retire, once them 5 years that waiting period goes by, or however long it takes to get in, they go up there, they give their speech for, their careers and what led them to the point. They thank all the people they feel like need to thank, and talk about what they feel like need to talk about, and they move on. And you think about, like, wow, this is like them, like basically like eulogizing their own, like, first third of their lives. And like, then from there, like, if there is, then after that, like, us as fans using it as a celebration, right? And then, like, there's the time, what should be 40 years plus from then, where then you say, wow, that person's gone, look at their impact, as these eras of the sport have changed, or whatever. You talk about, like, why this person was so revolutionary ahead of their time, or what traditions they upheld, or what or for franchises, for positions, for what they did for the future.
And we'll have those interviews too,
right? And the thing
when them old man don't give a fuck interviews,
right? And the thing is that I think sucks the most for Kobe is, like, we got all that in 18 months.
Yeah.
We got it in 18 months. Like, you think of the life that Bill Russell and Kobe, or not Kobe, and Kareem have lived as humanitarians, as activists, as
coaches,
as coaches, and, like, people that have helped uplift and enrich communities. And, like, we didn't get to do that with Kobe. We got, like, a couple years, or, like, really, like, 1 year or 2 years of couple with stuff he was helping to do with trying to with women's basketball. Like, that hurts for women's basketball. Obviously, we are more dominant at women's basketball than we are in men's basketball, but still, it's like, you think of what that could have meant if Kobe had been there for all this. And, like, it just sucks that it's like, wow, like, we basically just had, and that's the reason why I couldn't watch it. Like, wow, so, like, we basically had 2 funerals for Kobe Bryant in, like, 1 year. I can't, I'm not watching none of this. I can't do it. I just can't. So yeah, that was my piece. Like, Rudy Tomjanovich, a great coach for his era. It didn't work when he was the Lakers coach, after Phil left, but you can't deny the Rockets run with Hakeem. You just can't.
Yeah, can't hold it against Rudy T. I think he was having some health issues around that time when he was coaching, and he had a strategy. It was like, give Kobe the ball. I can't really be mad at that. So. But yeah, Rudy T, Hall of Fame coach. Also, he got his face broke back in his younger days. But
you really want to talk about Kerwin Washington?
I do not.
Okay.
Like
that was like, like they, like, obviously, like, the response wouldn't have been as outsized now if it happened now compared to then. But, like, they wanted to get all this shit out off of TV after that happened. Yeah. So yeah, that was, that's one of the things where you hear about it and hear contextualized, and it's like, it's so hard to understand. It's so hard to understand, like, that Colonel Washington, Rudy Tomjanovich thing. It's like, so he like, a black guy punches out this dude that ran up in the middle of a fight and broke his face, and, like, now, like, white people don't know how to handle it. They just don't.
Man, like, you remember that what was his name? LeGarrette Blount, when he punched Buddy at the end of the game.
Boise State or
yeah.
I watched that live.
Imagine that times like 10, I'd imagine. Like,
it was way, yeah. I mean, it was way bigger back then, because it's like, football players have that leeway of, like, well, it's a prone towards violence. Like, back then, like, basketball and baseball, like, you think about how they talked about people's strategy for working out and all that kind of stuff. Like, people were like, y'all lifting weights? Why? That doesn't hurt your flexibility? And it's like, all right. Bo Jackson comes around, he's like, oh, never mind. That's fucking stupid. Baseball players shouldn't lift weights. That's kind of fucking dumb. Then you obviously, from there you get all the other stuff with, PEDs or whatever else. But yeah, it's just, but Rudy, yeah, he a bit revolutionary. Like that 95 team, 95 or 94 team is the team that shot all the threes, or all the threes in quotation marks for the era. I can't remember which team it was.
Yeah,
I think it
might have been 94.
94. Yeah, like that's a revolutionary team. That's one of the first teams
I
that
think
really
so, because it was like a
weapon like that.
Throw that shit into Hakeem and he'll throw it out if he ain't, if he doesn't see any barbecue chicken to eat, he'll go ahead and throw that bitch out. But
right. Tamika Catchings, all-time great women's basketball player of our era, multiple-time Olympian, champion.
Gun show.
Yeah.
Always the gun show.
Yeah.
So obviously we had the pay-per-view last night. Before we get to the pay-per-view, we got to get to like these AEW matches in this Cody promo, of course. Okay. And then I think we can get to the pay-per-view, but
sure.
Very up and down episode of AEW, I would say. There were things on the show I felt like I wanted to black out on at the moment. Some of them I can't really remember, but a lot of it had to do with stuff outside the ring. Like I hated the bubbly spray shit. I hated, obviously, the promo. We're going to get to that in a moment. But the title matches on the show, I love them all. Like,
yeah.
like Jon Moxley and Yuji Nagata fucking ruled.
Yeah.
Mox came out with Wild Thing. Yuji Nagata showed up. They did the split screen and presented it like dead serious. Ren Narita came out there with them. They just had like this. It made me like say, this is fucking pro wrestling. Like, and that was amazing. So SCU and the Bucks, I've been following it, on all the other shows, and then to see it kind of manifest itself here, I think Daniel's put in an excellent performance. Like, kind of, the end of the SCU tag team, the Bucks were like, I think there's been this thing where the Bucks have like struggled with these personal style matches. Maybe the problem was they were faces in those. Like maybe they needed to be the heels in these situations, because this was fucking excellent. Like these dudes were rubbing blood on themselves, spoofing the Shawn Michaels shit. And they said they were going to spoof the Shawn Michaels shit. He said, I'm going to tell you I'm sorry, I love you, and he kicked you in the face, and then he did it. Like even the at the very end where he slipped off the ropes, it seemed like he meant to do that on purpose. Like I don't know what happened, but he jumped right back up there. I can't. It was like perfect.
I can't tell with the Christopher Daniels stuff. Like I just don't. Like sometimes he'll be like, I don't know if that's intentional or whatever else. Like, but ultimately, it's a real look in real competition, people make mistakes. That's why we talk about those fortuitous, botches that make it seem like the shit's, it amped it up the level of danger and desperation. So like, he couldn't get up there, and then he got up there and he hit the move, and it was like boom, boom. So it's like it didn't take away from anything, whether it was an actual botch or not. I didn't even spend any real time contemplating whether that was a real botch or not. I thought like, oh, it didn't work. He got back up there and did it because like it was in the flow of what would have made sense. So
I thought it was like the blood loss. I thought it was like the blood loss, quote unquote, and all that. And he fucking bled a gusher in that fucker. So SCU's done as a tag team. He did cut an awesome promo on BT. I'd recommend check out as the opener. It's like 4 minutes, and then he breaks down like legit crying. Like it's like he finishes the promo, and then he walks off and just sits down, and then he's like boo-hoo crying. He's like, I don't want to go yet. Like basically contemplating retirement or whatever. And I could be done. Like if it's me, I'm booking Frankie Kazarian versus Christopher Daniels, double or nothing. Daniels, you lose, you're done. Like, and I'm letting them to, go do it.
That soon, or why can't? Does it have to be that if you lose, you're done, or can it just be like, look, I'm coming out here. This is my last. I'm letting y'all know that this is my last match, and I would rather have it be anybody other than Frankie, and then you just do it like that.
You could do that.
I'd much rather see it that than like another back to back. If you lose, you're done. Like I want him to come out. It'd be cool. I think it'd be rather cool if he came out and said, "Look, man,
I'm slipping.
I'm long in this. I'm long in the tooth." Or he didn't even have to necessarily say that, but like, look, the tag team is what kept me going. The tag team is done, so I guess I'll take my flowers now and I'll do it in my go away match, and we'll do it like it's Japan, where you just go out there and you book a retirement match, and there's no quote unquote stip or intrigue to it. It's like celebrating this person's career and they go out.
Or Christopher Daniels can do like 21-minute matches
like Stardom, like Stardom. Yeah, like, just treat it like it should keep it first ring. Like, come out here and wrestle the whole
just
roster.
Bring a bitch out, and bring everybody from Dante Martin to Top Flight to Kenny to Cody, and all y'all come running with Daniels for 1 minute.
What I will say for those that have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, in Stardom was someone that they believe to be like a special part of their history is leaving or is retiring, unless it's surprising. Like B would have got one of these, obviously, but she didn't, because she just left on after having that match. But people like Kagetsu, like Kairi, like Io, they basically have these 1 minute like a 1 minute gauntlet match, right? With any Hazuki also as well. It may be their last match. It may be the last match they do before they have their second to last match or penultimate match. But basically, you have the gauntlet. Someone comes out. Y'all have exchange. A lot of it's comedy. A lot of it is like awesome 1 minute wrestling. And a lot of times, you'll give somebody that you feel like you have a future for, or whatever else, or someone that you respect, you give them a fall or whatever else, is like a young person or whatever. One of my favorite Io Shirai moments is when it was her versus Kagetsu. Kagetsu comes out, Kagetsu is funny because like she has a choke slam, but it's like, you're 5'2", whatever. She goes for the choke slam, and Io got her up, and then once she got her up, Io turned a fucking choke slam into a Hurricane Run. I was like, yo, she's so fucking good. But there's also these great moments where like you talk to the the younger wrestlers and all that kind of stuff, and like they're just fun and so heartfelt and all that kind of stuff when they do them. So like I like the Kyrie one's one of the like saddest things I've ever seen in wrestling. It really is. Like that post match, it really is. It just they're all devastated. Like this wasn't the first one, but it's like the first one where it's like this quote unquote beloved figure. Like other ones have been like, yeah, she wasn't like the top star or like the heartbeat of the company. Like that first one, like all the people are gutted, Starlight Kids, and everyone's in tears except for like Jungle and Mayu. That's it. Everybody, or Io too. But like actually I take that back, because Mayu started crying after she got on the mic. But like but whatever, we can move on. But like that would be interesting if they did something like that. It would be a cool new concept of like, yeah, you go ahead and do your little thing with everybody else. Say you wrestled everybody on the roster. That would be kind of cool. That would be like a 2-week show. They did that like you got to put that shit on YouTube, my friend. That's way too long.
You do that shit on Elevation or some shit.
Can you imagine having Daniels go to
tell that man go 60 minutes.
120 minutes. Go. Take your ass out there.
Like, we gonna work you. This is your last match. They did cut away really fast to do the Mox and Kingston trash in the locker rooms. I thought Mox and Kingston trash in the locker rooms was incredibly lame.
Yeah, I think it stunk because like you didn't get the thing that you wanted with Daniels after they broke up, like, or with SU after they broke up. That got kind of like to the back quickly, and then also
put away the spreadsheets.
Yeah, and also like it's for so how are they going to become the more contenders? Oh, they trash their locker room. Like this is basically like saying like, how did this unworthy contender become a contender? Oh, they beat up the champ one time. So what they're doing with Mox and Kingston, they've been booking them on both days of Dark and Elevation for like the past like 3 weeks. So they're like running up like their wins. So like by the time they get there, but you know what I'm going to say to that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say to that? Like, they beat a bunch of unranked teams. Cool. And that's what Dark and Elevation is. Like, when you say someone's racked up a bunch of wins, like, that's the problem with Eddie Kingston. He rarely, if ever, fucking wins on TV, on Dynamite. Like, maybe get him some wins on TV, and I'm sure they'll try to rectify that by giving them a big win against a Lucha Express, Jurassic Express, something like that. But it's like, that's one of the issues when they do Dark Elevation, is like, in Dynamite, is like, or they build contenders at times, is like, I see the record, I understand that these matches actually happen, I didn't see them. Like, if they never happened, you just told me they happened, it may as well be the same thing. And also, it's like, most times they only have one big win, so I can be like, okay with that, you beat somebody big, so fine. Like, I think they need to get a big win for them so they can,
They beat Gallows and Anderson, and then they beat Nakazawa and Kenny on Dynamite. I don't know if they've had a
Mega
third
wasn't even
match.
in that match. Mega wasn't even in that match, and also it's like, Gallows and Anderson, like, they don't go here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool that they beat the former Impact champions, but have they ever been in the ranking system in AEW?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Even if they were, they don't go here.
I think they were the first people to beat them, though.
Okay.
Because they hadn't dropped any falls. But the main event on this, Darby Allin and Miro, phenomenal. Before the match, Miro beats the ever-loving shit out of Darby Allin, like, almost to an uncomfortable degree. Like, yo, he's really kicking the shit out of him like this. Like, they say this is a work, but, like, nah, man. Darby must have told him, hey, lay it in, brother. Like, something. But Darby Allin had me cheering him on like I was a small child, like, towards the end of the match when it looked like he was about to pull a rabbit out the hat and beat this dude. Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, wow, this guy, Darby Allin, is an elite storyteller, a certified main eventer. And I almost pulled out the column like it's a race going on, It's a race between Darby and Heyman, and who's gonna get there first? Because we may have to reconsider.
He's well ahead right now,
and there's an obvious story there with Heyman eventually chasing down Kenny, right? But if you're looking at what this guy has done with this title reign, he's the best TNT champion they've ever had. That string of matches with all different opponents, all different kinds of finishes he strung together in sequence, trying to put Miro away, which none of them worked. Basically feeding all of those guys to Miro in a sense. And Miro still undefeated. Looks like they knew what they were doing with him the whole time, and he's a fucking killer now. So it looks like he may be going into something with Lance Archer, but Darby Allin and him, I think, tore the fucking house down, like, and saved the show, kind of, after, like, the SCU thing. It was like
saved the second hour of the show, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure, the second hour, and it was like, I was going to come on this show and be absolutely like a menace, like, but maybe I still will with the Cody thing, but I thought it was a great match. I agree with a lot of stuff you said about their match. I really enjoyed that. Like, this is like the real launching pad. This was in a lot of ways mirrors the it was better because it was longer and it was more intense and more physical, but like it mirrors a lot of Brody squashing of squashing Cody for the TNT title, except it was an actual match, and with Sting there with the fist bump, he thought he was going to escape out the back door, could escape out the back door. That run was just great. I really think it was important to like this, and also doing that, it launches Brody and Dustin in Miro like to the moon. Is like anything you've seen before then, you can more or less disregard it. We can move forward with this. This has more or less been retconned, and he is now a animal, savage, monster, new person that is. They also kind of did this with Nyla Rose, where like the mismanagement or mishandling, misbooking, or not presentation problems, whatever else. Put that to the side. They are now the champion, and they whoop someone's ass completely to become champion. It's over. And the interesting thing is like with clean,
Nyla, with Nyla, with Brody, and with Miro, they all had great performances / matches to more or less say like this is a whole new thing, and if you want to still remember the old stuff, fine. But like from this point forward, you only really have to go back to here as this point, and this is where we are now. So so this is more of a credit to AEW's ability to, like, if things aren't working, that doesn't mean it won't be working forever. Like, they are good bookers. That's how this works. Like, if something doesn't work, you can work on it. And we talked about this a bunch of times, especially when Brody's passed.
Dark Order.
The Dark Order, how they rejiggered this thing to make this fucking work finally. And it all all the pieces came into play once Brody showed up. And you look at where they are now compared to when they showed up. And we were like, who the fuck are these guys? And oh my God, it's an incel cult. Like, I think those jokes still there as far as being incel cult. Like, they're incel cult that has 2 hot women with them. Cool. 2 attractive women. Cool. But like, they're just comedy geeks now. But Silver, you see the potential and the personality on that stuff. They're the Dark Order as a tag team, the number 1 tag team on there, still great. But Miro, new lease on life. Happy for him. Miro / Rizzo, someone we've always relatively liked. After we initially hated him, like he's somebody. He's one of the people, like you say, that like people are stubborn, or we, if you listen to us and think we may be stubborn or whatever else, we will change our mind based off new information given to us. And like Miro's one of those dudes. Like when that run was happening, where it was like, I don't think it's gonna work. In 2014, and then like you start having a match with Mark Henry and with Big E and having them house battles, like that changed on us. And then like he got to WrestleMania and he had the tank. We were like, that match wasn't the greatest in the world, but it was still a good match, entertaining. And then they had that last man standing match. We were like, let's see what happens. And we always thought Rusev had something, and like there's another chance, there's another new lease on life. So I'm interested to see what he does with it. I think it's gonna be fun, especially with this Archer thing now. I really do.
Yep. And the TNT title go in another direction. Like, they're going to be hitting the road, and I believe they're going to be in Dallas, and that's like a Lance Archer hotbed. So
of course,
I could easily see a TNT title match in Dallas where Lance Archer takes that bitch. So we'll see. But
I didn't get to talk. You had your piece about Yuji Nagata and Moxley. I didn't get to say mine. I thought this was one of the most fun things. One of my most fun times in wrestling this year was like the way they shot it before they went to the show open video package. You're like, this is some live thing. Like it felt like they presented it was like a boxing match that was coming out, and they come out, Wild Thing hits, and I was like, is that? Oh,
bro, I lost my fucking mind when that shit came on.
I thought it was great. I'm like, when I said, like, dude, when live crowds fully come back, like, this shit's finna ring off. Like, they're finna sing Wild Thing. It makes perfect sense because he's a fucking wild child. Like, that, Moxie, ever since we've known Moxie from The Shield, or Ambrose from The Shield to now, he's always been this loose cannon, and people have talked about it, the Austin stuff and the Pillman stuff, and with him, is like, this makes perfect sense. He's a wild child.
I think he's going to get an additional, like, he'll get some more gas in the tank for his babyface run. Like, after you lose the title, it's always weird what they do with you next, right?
Yep.
Obviously, they're shunting them into the tag team thing, whether they win the belts or not. I think the song will keep him like going, like that intro will keep him up high, and they protect him like hell anyway. So it can only like help him even more.
Yeah, and the thing that I really enjoyed, and this is watching that match, is like I ended up giving 3 3/4 because it went short. It's probably like, how long was it? 10 minutes. Something like that?
Maybe less.
Yeah, like it was just a blast, but it was short. Like if it went like 3 minutes longer, 4 minutes longer, I would have given it 4 flat. But it's just like, it was just fun, simple wrestling, going back and forth, grabbing holds, hitting each other hard, kick, stuff that's not necessarily near suplexing, stuff that's like just simple, basic wrestling, right? And like it's fun to watch Moxley when he's motivated. It just is. Like I was happy for it. I hope I hope they bring more New Japanners over to wrestle him in anywhere, AEW, New Japan Strong. Like this is really interesting. Is like, if you were to ask me who are the two best wrestlers right now, like they're doing it two totally different ways, but I would still say, like, if I was voting for Flair Thez right now, my 1 and 2 would be Moxley and or be Moxley and Omega. Not in that order. I would say Omega number 1, but I would say like those still be the 2 people I vote for, 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's. Well, I think the rest of the year could be really interesting with them,
right?
Because of like if Kenny like still goes to champion, I think he'll get that advantage. But I think the music and different things Moxley can do just that are cool, like if he's showing up at GCW, is going to help him a lot,
right? And that's
if he goes to New Japan or something like that. So that's
exactly what I mean. Is like.
And Kenny being an Impact too, so he's going to get all that shit
in AAA. And like the thing for me is why I mentioned those two, because like it's not just what they've done in AEW. It's they're the only two. I mean, obviously Jericho would be doing it if there was no pandemic, because he would have been doing Dominion and Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. But like the fact that like these people are top names in America, and then they pretty much get their pick of what they want to do. They just get to do random cool shit. You just get to do random, cool, fun shit. And you never think that, it seems like it's not necessarily revolutionary. It's like those 3, and then there's other people that will have the ability to do that. This is something that Daniel Bryan can do if he wants it. Like they have the ability because of what they've done in the E or in New Japan to now leave, do their own thing in this new promotion, AEW, and still be able to go to a different country, or with the blessing of Tony Khan, can go to Impact and become Impact champion and do the belt collector thing, and they get to go out here and they basically just have another advantage as far as being able to have good matches and do good programs, do other stuff besides just AEW and weekly television. They're going to keep them hot regardless of whatever happens. Like it's so smart. And like
it's like a cheat code to winning awards almost.
I don't even know, but I don't even really necessarily. I know I mentioned Flair Thez, but I was only saying as far as saying like just as the cool thing. I'm not necessarily caring. Like that's a secondary point I was making, but like as far as just being able to do cool shit, like I want to do Bloodsport. Okay, go do that. Go freaking gig yourself against Barnett. Cool, fine, go for it. Like even last year before the pandemic ended, like. And before we found out about David Starr, he was gonna go wrestle OTT in Dublin in that Dublin show against Starr. That would have been fun before we found out he was a scumbag. Like,
no.
All this stuff was, he's just, I don't want to say he's rigging the game, but it's like he gets to feel like a star and gets to carry that around wherever he goes. And like, there's another example. It's like there's some cool shit that wouldn't have happened if this wasn't not a Jericho / Moxley / Omega. Just wouldn't.
I think Kenny was for sure headed to DDT in 2020, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, because he also did the DDT thing in that mixed tag with Riho.
Yep. So yeah, man. But we put it off long enough. Cody Rhodes came to the ring, and he cut a promo that is very divisive. He cut a promo that is, I feel like, extremely tone deaf, ignores a lot. I feel like in order for him to believe that promo, and I feel like he wholeheartedly believes in it, he probably has the best intentions for it, right? But I feel like the
fact that he believes it is the problem.
Yeah, it's like, why do you, it's like either you're willfully ignoring all the stuff that like undoes what you were saying, or you're like just ignorant of it. One of the two. Okay, let's start from the top. Do you have the audio?
I'm not going to play the audio. I'm not going to go through it. He starts it off by saying, I know it's not really cool to be patriotic. I'm like, I'm sorry. Have you ever been to a professional sporting event? What the hell are you talking about? Oh, you can't go to Tallahassee or Tuscaloosa or Clemson or Athens and find some patriotism? Oh, no. Can't go to Cowboy Stadium and find that. No, absolutely not. I guess he was trying to go for a melting pot line about like how we're all, we are all kind of the same, and talked about how like Santana and Leonard Skinner and Snoop Dogg are all on the same jukebox. I'm thinking like, nah, yeah. Snoop Dogg was not on the same jukebox as them. What are you talking about? Maybe now when jukeboxes aren't an actual fucking jukebox thing. Yeah,
I think he was saying his jukebox, but regardless,
my whole thing is like my point is like we've been in the music industry. We were just talking about the Joe Budden podcast. What is like? Do you think they're talking about Taylor Swift? our music is just as segregated as we are, which I will get to later in a second. But it's like, what are you talking about? Then he talked about like, Ogogo is allowed to say the things he can say because of more or less because of our freedom of speech. And I'm like to myself, like, bro, like, do you think that makes America unique, freedom of speech? Like, almost all of Europe has freedom of speech, including England, where Gogo's from. What are you talking about? Like, the entire EU has fucking freedom of speech. Like, what? You talked about, like, or that Ogogo was talking about our divisiveness, and we don't agree on everything, and the anger that's out there, and said, well, our empathy is bigger than our anger. And I'm like, excuse me? Our empathy is bigger than our anger?
Anger pushed this country. Anger and fear has like pushed this country politically for like
ever.
Yeah, I was gonna be nice and say like 50 years, but long like, before that.
Yeah, Jesus. Like our anger and empathy. Oh, okay, like the empathy that is now like why people gonna have to wait in lines to vote even longer than before. It can't mail in voting because we have to pretend that like that people are sending in widespreadly sending in like false ballots, right?
Yeah, like, January 6th not happening, didn't happen.
Right, right. And it's like, I mean, it was abysmal before we even before like Biden is trying to change this shit up. But like, you look at the Trump immigration stances and like it's just like in how we're attacking trans, right? Like, what the hell are you talking about? What? This is Americana, and not that you're talking about not America. Like, you are talking about the things that
he's talking about
we believe ourselves to be instead of what we actually are. And it is like the two Americans thing. Like, so, and then he goes on and talks about how like
very, very pie in the sky type energy.
Very naive and / willfully ignorant. You choose on what he is, but then or what he was saying right there. And then like only thing I liked about this promo, not because it was actually like fair, but the fact that, like the pettiness. He talked about all the great wrestlers he's faced from the UK. He named them. He named a bunch of them, and then Nick Aldis in his most famous match against any UK wrestler, he totally omitted him. I was like, God, I know Nick Aldis is sitting there like, you asshole, you jerk, I hate you.
Wrestled him twice.
Yes, to great success, to great financial success. It's like whatever, and then the piece of resistance, he starts talking about in 1961, Atlanta was still segregated, and in 2021, his wife Brandy is going to give birth to a beautiful black and white princess that, if I remember the words correctly, will have
both identities
and shun neither. Okay, I'm not going to get into whether or not biracial children and their concept of I'm not even going to say concept. And that sounds like I'm dismissing or trivializing it. Dual identities or whatever else. I'm not even going to get into that. That's for another total discussion that I would not have in front of on this podcast. I just will not. Like I'm not going to go through it. So, Rich. We were talking about rap, right?
Yeah.
What would be the number one city in rap of the last 15 years?
Atlanta.
Okay, when a lot of these Atlanta rappers, and they talk about their background and parts of the city they're from. What did they talk about? They're from what? Where?
Zone 4.
They talk about the 6 Atlanta zones, right?
Zone 6.
Right. And I think I made a joke about it a couple weeks ago about like,
you better not say you from Zone 2.
Zone 2. You know why I say talk about this, because you say Atlanta's no longer segregated, or you mentioned the schools are segregated. Nah, they're still fucking segregated because the housing's still segregated. Those zones were put in place to segregate the city, and these zones still exist. They're not legally still in place, but these zones are still the same exact.
They might as well still be there. The invisible fences.
Yes, you can pull up a dot census map, and you think I'm joking or not being fully honest about like the fact that like we have legally desegregated, but like we haven't enforced it. We don't. Like, so that's why you look at schools and busing and all that stuff for the past, 50 years at this point, and it still looks the same. Like, this ain't even an Atlanta thing. You can tell us about any major city in this country.
Yep.
Pull up a dot census map, go to Detroit, and pull up another map of Detroit.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed in 2020. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations.
Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G, because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.
Like, look at the dividing line, look at 8 Mile Road, then pull up Dot map and be like, all that blue and all of that green, like, where white people and black people are totally separated by this one artificial, socially engineered line. What is that? Oh, 8 Mile Road. Oh, it was done by the highway system.
Another part like that is like St. Louis, and
they're on the other side of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
There's East St. Louis, and then like there's the sprawling suburbs to the west of the river where white people have moved further and further away from black people. And you can say that about a bunch of different cities. You can talk about St. Pete, 20 minutes from where we are. You look at it on the dot census map. Central Ave. Central Ave is the dividing line. Like, it's not nearly as pronounced or as big as 8 Mile Road, but it's there. Like, that line, and there's a line in the sand where, like, white people live up north, black people live south of Central. Like, you look at Tampa. 275 is the dividing line. Like, white people live south of 275, black people live north of 275. Like, when you hear Hogan talk about him from South Tampa, and they say that all the time, he's not talking about black people taught him that word. Like, and this is a bunch of different cities. Chicago is the most segregated city in the country. Residentially segregated city in the country. Atlanta's like number 2 or 3. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've like been following that stuff. But you know, I was heavy into this. So I'm like, you're saying this stuff and like, I'm a fucking idiot. You clearly have no knowledge of what you're saying. And if you did, you either shame on you for saying this nonsense, or I need to throw a fucking bookish cue. Which, I don't know which one it is.
I was going to say, or he can read a book, or someone like, because I feel like he's had very limited conversations with people that have a limited understanding of this, and he has a very basic understanding of this. And I do mean basic, because there's no way
he's from Atlanta. He said he's from Atlanta, Georgia. I know he's from really from Marietta. You can live in Marietta. You can live in Alpharetta. If you live in Metro Atlanta, in them suburbs where white people have left in droves to get away from the city, cut off the MARTA's public transportation system, have the fucking Atlanta Braves move to Cobb County to get away to placate their white fan base. I don't want to hear this shit about my biracial daughter. And look at how far we've came over 50 years. My biracial daughter is coming into this world. It doesn't. Or 60 years later, it's like that's nonsense.
He threw wild haymakers, and I think he missed very badly here. It was just, and then like you talk about a go-go, and this guy's like a black guy.
He's saying this about his daughter while I guess like forgetting the part where like he's wrestling another person that is biracial like his daughter will be. What are you talking about? This is, I don't want to say it infuriated me, but I was like, yo, this is just like
a stunning lack of self-awareness.
This doesn't hold up to any bit of scrutiny, and you're a babyface, and you're doing a xenophobic promo. Like,
I do think people calling him like a white nationalist, saying he's doing a white nationalist promo, or being a bit hyperbolic, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I know what Cody kind of gets down with and stands for. a little bit, and I sincerely think he operates with, he thinks he's doing the right thing, and it's just like, I just think he needs to learn more and listen more still, and that's a tough thing, I think, to hear, because he probably feels like he has listened and he has, put, quote unquote, did the work or whatever, but there's always more work to do to with this kind of stuff.
As far as doing the work goes, I don't know what to say to that. I don't want to bring this up. I don't know what to say to that after I read Brandy's Twitter response, because that Twitter response makes me think a lot of different things about her. Some that she has been accused of, and like I have stayed away from, because it's like she's getting a lot of in this time. People will put your feet to the fire for you to stand up for, or for you to show what you believe in, right? Like, there's a reason why all these Texas companies have came out recently and said, like, we are against all this voter suppression bills that are happening in the Texas congressional floor. So everybody wants to know where people lie and stand on stuff, and like, obviously Brandy has in all of this, and Brandy has taken it and turned it into, I don't want to answer it because anything I say will get people to blow up on me, which is absolutely true. And I'm not even gonna say no but to move on. I just now, after seeing her response, I think that we have a bit more of an answer. I think we do. I'm not gonna get into any name call. I'm not gonna get anything because it's ultimately not important. But like, I see the steez. I see what she says online, and like, okay, all right, and like, whew, boy, I just pray for the future. If you are inclined to do so, pray for the future, because this promo just like, yo, this is not the right move, and I don't think this is the right time for you to be out here doing this jingoistic ass promo, and it absolutely was. As far as people talking about, I didn't see this because I just didn't. I don't care for other people's opinion on this. Like, it's like I like, because they'll be like, oh, it's pro wrestling, whatever. It's like, bro, like I didn't sign up for this. Like, you're right, it is pro wrestling. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this promo. Like,
yeah, man,
I just didn't.
I think Cody he's over ambitious. Like, I feel like this is in his wheelhouse. This was bound to happen. Like, this could have been about like anything. Think about.
You broke up.
You
broke up. You said think about what?
Like, oh, I was gonna say, think about his inflated sense of self that he has sometimes, and this is him. This truly did not surprise me that he was say some stuff like this, and you think about the demographics of the fans and the companies, the locker rooms.
A shot of the white guy went to Black Lives Matter shirt. What do you think of that?
I saw that and I was like, wow. And a buddy apparently came out and was on Twitter talking about I was not a plant or whatever. But man,
my thing is this:
what an incredible shot! Like,
my thing is this: is like, what?
Like, did you show up wearing that?
Who in their right mind decided to cut to that? What made you use that verse? What made you go to that camera shot? Why?
I think these, he was doing that promo under the guise of unity, or whatever, and it's like,
I understand that. In his way to try to unify the country, he ignored the mostly underrepresented and disenfranchised and entirely dismissed, or I don't even say dismissed. That'd be unfair. Pretend, I would say, like, just didn't engage with the material. Just didn't at all.
It's like, bro, did you read the book? It was like, well, I checked out, I skimmed it. Like, that's kind of what it like. I feel like when he walked back in the locker room, I feel like people were like, you did a great job with it. And then he's breaking out crying, doing a promo and all that. And
How many times has Cody gonna fake cry during a promo? This is not a second time that I remember in on an AEW promo. Like the one with Ellis Island when I slide, and like when people talk about this was Cody's magnum opus and this is the promo, I'm thinking to myself like, I don't think this is a top 2 promo in AEW for Cody. I don't know what y'all talking about. That Ellis Island is an all-timer. The promo he cut for his brother going into Double or Nothing is an all-timer. Yeah, if you think this is an all-timer, fine. They're not as good as that. They're not as good as those fucking 2 promos. No.
I feel like there's just way too much to...
Even if you liked it. No.
I think it's weird because, like, the stuff he mentions, it's like he's opened up a conversation he doesn't really want to have.
Exactly.
Like, and it's like, if you want to do that, I feel like it requires more than a basic understanding of what he has. And he's probably getting patted on the back for this by whoever. You know, maybe his brother standing there when he walks in, oh, that was awesome, you know, kid, or some shit like that. And it's just like, none of this is going to be resolved, really. And it's just like, you hope they just go away from it and don't bring it up again.
Another part that doesn't really jive is like, I don't know, how many matches Ogogo had on like Dark/Elevation? Any?
I think he's only done like 1. Okay. I think he's done 1 or 2.
So, am I missing like this go home level promo for like the literally like act 2 of their entire thing? Like, where does he? I don't understand. How does he come?
One just dropped tonight on. One just dropped for a go tonight on Elevation that I was listening to.
Okay, so
he's been on Twitter working the gimmick. By the way, he's getting a lot of new fans. I think, you know.
I'm trying to get an understanding of how does he go from a guy that happens to be from another country, puts a flag over you, to then like talk about like his work visa and the American dream and everything else. It's like, he didn't say any of that. He just dropped the flag on you. He didn't say, I mean, and then he talked about this stuff. It's like, is he talking about this stuff on Twitter when he talked about this for Heat? Because it's like, bro, like, I'm completely like clueless as to what the fuck he's talking about before he even gets to this point. Like, how did we get here so fast out of nowhere with nothing that's ever been referenced before on Dynamite? What is this? And then it's like, then he goes into this stuff while he's doing this. I'm like, huh? How do you build up this nationalistic feud when, like, I've never heard the person that's being built as the heel say anything bad about this country that I recall, or even related to it coming to you. Like, I understand he punched you in the gut a few times. I understand that part. But where did this Americana stuff come from? I don't know. It was like, except for the flag, and like, you brought a sledgehammer for something that was like ant level stuff. It was completely what's it called, overreaction for what we've seen so far, and plus all the other stuff we just went over. So I was like, I don't understand. Wrong time, wrong place, wrong promo. Like, y'all got to go through a whole lot more to even get to here. And I'm not necessarily agreeing with, or I'm damn sure not agreeing with the stuff you said, even if this was further down the line. I just like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
This is a hot shot ass promo.
Fuck them up, go. Fuck them up. That's what I got to say.
Okay. Can you move on? Is there anything else we need to talk about to break this? This is a dream. Like, Cody's exhausting. He really is. Like, I still like Cody. Like, Floyd's gonna come on here and talk about, or not on here, but he's gonna come on and eventually like react to what we're saying on here. But it's like, bro, like, if you want to argue otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, because like,
trust us. I don't
want to say we do this or even I do this, but it's like, nah, bro. There's some stuff I can show you to like let you know, like, this stuff is all fictitious that he came up with. This is a fairy tale.
This is a fantasy land.
Yeah,
like that. That's why I felt like he was in a fantasy land that we don't live in.
Like, this is some shit that you say in 1984, not 2021, as a wrestling promo. This is not it right now. Like, if you want to talk about
there's probably a better. I feel like there's a more well-read, better promo in him about all that same shit.
I think people were like, "Yo, this is a problem," and like, we were expecting a lot fucking better from you, a lot fucking better. So, I mean, that's really all I have to say.
Yeah.
How is this supposed to be inspiring babyface talk? And then what? An hour later,
bro, and everyone loves the go-go.
Darby comes out there like, no, this is inspiring babyface. I don't know what the fuck this was.
Yeah. But moving on, we had WrestleMania Backlash last night. I don't know how deep you want to go into it, but it was a pretty good show.
Aside from that abomination in the third match.
Oh yeah. That we're talking about all time wrestle crap bad. All right, so check the timing on this. So I decided, I was like, look, I was working on like cleaning up a little bit in my office room, right around, and I had missed like the first 10 minutes. I looked up and the show was on. I was like, fuck, and I knew they didn't have to rewind or whatever, right? So I was like,
That's
whatever.
Right. That's right.
And then I was like, about an hour later, I was like, well, let me just turn it on and see what's going on. And then I turned that shit on, and it's the fucking zombies. I turned that shit immediately off. I'm like, not tonight. I am not doing this.
I don't blame you.
Fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'll watch it while I'm working tomorrow. Like, they're not going to take my time. I'll take my job's time.
I need to edit that off the podcast.
I need to be getting paid while taking this in, because I thought it was like, hold on, this is sub level, like just horrible, absolutely horrible. Just very bad.
It was stupid, and I'm watching the show, and I'm like, first two matches, these are good. These are really good matches, and then that happens. I'm like, where did this come from? And then I hear later on that it's a promotional tie for the Batista movie that's coming out, and I was like, okay, but you still have to explain where the fuck zombies came from, or I imagine you should anyway, which then becomes like, well, why the fuck are you even doing this? Like, there's nothing else you could have came up with than zombies, like the types of the movie. Like, this zombie lumberjacks, whatever, man. It was stupid. It was just a stupid, bad match that no one's gonna like. So whatever. I'm not. You killed it, rightfully so, and I agree with everything you're saying. It was just a waste of time. And then, but like the thing that was so weird about it is like you had those two matches that were well wrestled, didn't really have any crazy finish out, even all night, but like there was no real screwy stuff as far as finishes, so it was just enjoyable wrestling. And then they had that match is going to be one of the fuck out of here draft candidate. And then like you get to the next three matches to close the show out, or four, I can't remember, and you're just like, if you just pull that one match out and throw it in the trash where it belongs, like, I haven't enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view this much since Evolution. Evolution 2018. It was just weird. Like, this was a show that, if not for that match, you say is a quote, very good / great pay-per-view. Even with it still being Abomination, it's still one of the better wrestling shows I've seen this year. And it's just like, one of the first things people are going to remember on this show, regardless of the Universal title match, regardless of the triple threat match for WWE title, regardless of every other solid, very good match on the undercard, is that match. That's gonna be like the second or third thing you're gonna remember from this pay-per-view. And like, that's unfortunate. And I'm like, it's back to WWE, man. It's like, these wrestlers work hard, they're talented, they trying to give their damnness to the fans, and then Vince wants to book a fucking zombie apocalypse lumberjack match that Damian Priest has to,
where men at the end were eaten.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, Morrison was on Raw today in Wrestle. So there's that. He had a regular non-zombified lumberjack match with Priest, and it looked like they went fucking nuts. Like there was a superplex to the floor over the actual regular lumberjacks. There was a bunch of stuff I saw in that match. They looked like they had a really fun match. It's like, if that had been on the show last night, it's one of the better shows of the year. It still is.
But Morrison got eaten.
Exactly.
I thought.
But you gotta remember, Rich, same thing when AJ Styles showed up after he got buried by The Undertaker alive. Yeah, I got buried. So what? Nothing.
Nothing matters.
Right.
I was. It as decent as the show was, it was just like I was watching. I was just like, it felt like a chore. Still, for me, like I guess we can just get into it. The
triple threat match:
Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte. This was cool. I'm confused on what Rhea Ripley is, especially like when Charlotte's there. I don't know who the fuck to root for. And then Asuka's hanging out. Yeah, shit.
The heel versus heel feud.
It's amazing how Charlotte's just turned back heel quick. But
they're mentioning on the
I was gonna say, did you notice on the finish, like when
made no sense. No sense.
It's not that even it didn't make sense. It was like when they shot it like get Charlotte completely out the shot. Like it was that Drew McIntyre. Like they did that shit with Kenny too. It was like have Kenny get all the way the fuck out of here before Nakazawa like gave up or some shit. But that definitely happened with the Charlotte thing. They intentionally was like hard swing that camera back towards because you watch it and you're like, well, why the fuck didn't Charlotte just get in? But then she quote unquote fell off the apron. But I'm like, all right, I guess.
The finish is, for those that didn't watch it, those three wrestled their asses off, and then get into the ring. Rhea and Asuka are in the ring. Charlotte's on the apron. Rhea whips Asuka into Charlotte. Charlotte sees it, gets a boot up. Asuka then, after receiving the boot, then comes to the center of the ring. They cut to the hard cam shot. Rhea grabs Asuka and hits her with the ripcord for the victory, while Charlotte was just on the apron, big booted Asuka, never got back, like apparently off when we didn't see her on camera, fell while giving the big boot, fell to the floor, didn't just get up and get into the ring and break up the pin. It's just yeah.
Fuck it, you got me.
Pinned. I was right fucking there. I sat there and watched it and I didn't break it up. I didn't do anything. In a title match. I was like, what? Why? Who? All you had to do was have Asuka hit her with a running kick or a forearm that sent her tumbling to the ground, and you've done the same exact finish, and then you'd be like, this is stupid. Now it's just like, what the hell is Asuka doing? What is Charlotte doing? She's a fucking goober. She's a 13-time champion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the camera shot was that did it more for me. Like I'm like, I clearly knew it was like the finish or whatever.
Right. But that's the thing though. It's like, I know this is the finish, but you just gave her a big boot. What the fuck? I just didn't get it. Let's move on to the next match.
Yeah, we can move on. The Los Mysterios, my God. All right. Dom Mysterio is a Make-A-Wish ass motherfucker.
So when Ric Flair did this with Sting, like, if he had came in and hit one move, would that have made him a Make-A-Wish motherfucker or no?
No, because he's Ric fucking Flair.
Okay, fair. Okay, look, I remember the matches that Dominic Mysterio had last year, so I'm not going to go that far. I do think still thinking what you're saying is funny, but this was like, hey, Ray, I want you to be...
We're going to have you wrestle both parts of the match?
Yes, I want you to basically be Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 34, where you have to basically make a hot tag for yourself and do... I want you to get heat for yourself. I want you to come back for yourself. I want you to be a house of fire for yourself. And I want you to tag in your son and do a couple things. And then like you clear out the other person that's not a legal person. And then you basically set the table. You do everything except actually win the match with a decisive finish yourself, Ray. And I was like, yo, I don't know why they decided to do it this exaggerating of an extent, but seeing Ziggler and Rude and Ray like do their thing, like I enjoyed that match before Dominic inevitably was going to come in.
I thought the Dirty Dogs looked good in this.
Yeah, same here. And I thought Ray, anytime I see Ray, awesome. Anytime I get to see Ray have a good match, it just makes me happy because Ray's like, This man has been kicking Father Time's ass. Yeah, man. Look, who has kicked Father Time's ass more? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron, Jerry Rice, or Rey Mysterio?
I think you got to say Jerry Rice because he was playing crushed.
Because of what? Oh,
I think he was out there getting crushed.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
fair enough. A more physical sport. Fair enough.
Well, yeah. Dom Mysterio, my God, like just complete lack of charisma, complete. I saw his frog splash off the top rope, and I was like, Sasha Banks' frog splash looks like it hurts more than his.
Sasha's light, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
he has one move.
Of course, then we had the lumber.
Yeah, lumberjack match. We already talked about it and killed it. What's next?
Just awful, abysmal. It has a 1.41 rating.
The best part is, right, I looked at the cage match score at first, and I saw that at first when it had like 10 votes on that shit, it was like a 3. I was like, oh, that's finna plummet. Ain't no way that's a 3. Ain't no way that's a 3. That is a worst match of the year contender. There is no way. It is sure enough.
Bro,
like, I woke up today and looked,
was
like,
champion.
Oh. Yeah.
What a bizarre year for the Miz.
I can't.
What a bizarre year for the Miz. Like,
what a bizarre year for the company.
Look, WWE champion, wrestles a celebrity, gets eaten and dies. Like, yeah. I don't know, but Bianca Belair and Bayley, I thought this was your standard champion against veteran challenger match, kind of like your Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton in 2015, maybe your Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins last year. Kind of the same deal here. I would have liked a more definitive win for Bianca rather than the hair roll up deal. Maybe there's a reason they didn't want to, make it more definitive, but I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, I like the finish. It reminded me.
And I feel like I see a lot. I feel like I see a lot more in Bianca than I do Rhea.
Well, you have to right now, given how rough of a start that Rhea had. Like, this was like last night was the first match where like nobody. It wasn't some huge miscommunication and everything else. Like, and that's just a match. Like, as far as her character, her motives, what drives her, we still yet to have learned any of that in any real way. We know, and obviously, that's the difficulty when you do these possible tweener characters, as opposed to just doing like what Bianca was just like, just babyface, just good person, just a good person. So like, it's a lot easier.
When I was watching this, I was remembering how these motherfuckers were trying to, pass off these Lacey Evans struggle matches for the last 2 years when we could have had Bianca. Getting it right, but she shows up and she's ready.
Hey,
amazing.
We were talking about this back in 2019, right?
We were.
Yeah, we were talking about this back in 2019, and you look at it, it's like, hey man, like, regardless of whatever you want to say about Rhea starting and how rough it's been, that match that she had last night is better than anything Lacey has ever done performance-wise. So, don't want to hear it. Like, we were right. We were it didn't really necessarily take any, ingenious vision to see that. Like, it was just like, it was obvious as day. They knew, they decided to go this route, and you see how much of a struggle that was, and how some of the worst wrestling of Charlotte's career is tied to Lacey Evans, and hopefully, in whatever, like, when she comes back up, she gets better.
Yeah. I think this is cool. I don't know what I'm seeing, Bayley getting heavily praised for this
for having a standard good championship title match.
Yeah, this is like MVP worthy and things of that nature, but I'm like, I thought it was cool, and then they did like a roll-up finish. Like,
yeah, it reminded me. I mean, then it played into the hair stuff and like
WWE title match.
Yeah, I do wonder how many more times they can do the hair-based offense stuff with Bianca. And I don't mean just say the whip as far as like her matches are entirely, or not entirely, but like mostly based around somebody grabbing her hair and then eventually she outsmarts them and gets them with the hair. Whether it was the whip on Sasha, whether it was basically doing like the Darby pin except with the hair, which I'm pretty sure I've seen before on NXT with Mia Yim. But like I'm just wondering, at what point will people be like, all right, enough with the hair. We know she has hair. Like, this is an incredibly charismatic, naturally likable person.
Hey.
Like, stop making her matches be about her hair.
Someone's going to have to cut the hair eventually, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I didn't even think about that. I hope not. I have nothing.
They're going to cut the hair for heat.
I want no parts of that. Like,
please let Sasha do it.
Look, this is what I'll say.
Or Naomi.
If it ever comes to that, they better be prepared with what comes with it.
Look, if they're smart, they look. There are a couple people that I would have do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It has to be a black person. You do that with a white person. With a white person, it's gonna be
nope. You ain't gonna want that.
Nope, not at all.
I don't suggest it.
And and I'm telling you, when there's a bunch of people that are gonna go on Twitter and be like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Hey, sit this one out. It's not for you. Sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen. When people go off, so. I'm just warning you ahead of time.
A teachable moment. Learn more than Cody Rhodes does.
Oh, God. I can't believe that. All right. So, triple threat match for the WWE titles the next match, right?
Yeah. All right. So, this was like, do your big spots. Don't sell. Do another big spot. Don't sell. Do another big spot. Stand your ass up. Like,
and Rich, it fucking worked.
Yep, I loved it.
I told you I was gonna love this shit. Hey man, like this, we should have known. Obviously, the build has been wacky or whatever else, and how they got there, all the times they've wrestled each other, and some of the botches in the Strowman and McIntyre stuff at the beginning on Raw a couple weeks ago. But I should have recognized that, like. You look at Bobby Lashley's track record on pay-per-view since he's returned, his two best opponents, or his two best matches, have been with Braun Strowman in that last man standing match, and with Drew McIntyre, regardless of how much I didn't like the WrestleMania match, but the one they had like a couple weeks after WrestleMania 36. I should have recognized, like, these are his two best opponents, kind of. Let them all get in there and show you how phenomenally, incredibly strong they are, and how awesome fucking Drew McIntyre was, and how willing Braun Strowman still is to try to have good match, regardless of the fact that, like, he just can't do it because of the mobility issue with that being that size. They went out there and they busted their ass, and they hit big move after big move after big move, kick out. They did the WWE staple of doing a practical effects spot with the LED board, which I had to say, like, people get tired of that stuff, but what I will say is, when you have time to practice that stuff, you ain't got to worry about getting the shit ready for TV, AEW. They got that shit down to a science, because they do it all the time. Maybe you should learn to do this shit all the time, so it will never look bad. Anyway.
Well, that's why they bleed all the time in AEW, so the blood always, comes off correctly.
So, yeah, I love the match. My favorite part of the match was Braun comes running in, Drew hits him with a Michinoku driver. I popped. I was like, you know how strong you have to be to get Braun Strowman, even with Braun Strowman obviously helping you all that stuff, to get him up and get him up and turn and down in a way to where he doesn't land on top of his fucking head. It looked white. Yes, it was.
Bro, it was all one fluid motion. It wasn't no struggle. It wasn't no I'm shaking to get him up. Nothing. It was just like I'm spinning him around.
Yes, and when because it never happens to somebody even close to that big. You think of Michinoku driver, you think, okay, it's a big move that gets you a near fall, whatever else, but like it's not really in modern day someone's finish or whatever else, except for Micah in Stardom. That's because she was trained by Taka, right? But when it's on somebody that fucking big, you're like, oh my God, that shit looks devastating.
Also, Strowman did a flip off the apron and damn near ended his own life. Drew McIntyre saved that man's life.
Yes, there's also the spot where they end up on the floor after the Michinoku driver, where Braun comes a running with the shoulder tackle he normally does. Drew McIntyre catches him, and God bless Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman and him tried to go for the Scott Steiner belly to belly over the top flip thing.
Oh,
and
man.
Braun landed on that floor on the back of his fucking head, and I was horrified because of how big he is. And with that size comes that lack of mobility. Wondering if he may have broken his neck, may be knocked out, concussed, severely concussed. Got his ass back up, no sold it. Strowman, McIntyre fucking can't believe it, comes running in for the Claymore. Braun catches him in powerbomb position, and then powerbombs, because they're right by the announce table, powerbombs on the announce table. I was like, yo, this match is fucking awesome. At that point, I was sold. This match is awesome. Drew McIntyre is awesome. Braun Strowman, this is one of his best matches in a long ass time. In his career is one of the best matches, period, and efforts. And they got back in the ring. Drew gets back in the ring. McIntyre is about to get power slid, or the power slam. He slides out the back, ducks under a lariat, hits the ropes, Claymore. Bobby Lashley, after taking a powder for the last 5 minutes, going through that spot, the LED board, comes in, throws McIntyre's ass out, hits a spear and gets the win. Loved it. Fantastic match.
McIntyre is awesome. He's one of their best heavyweight wrestlers, quite frankly, that's ever been in WWE.
Especially for big matches, ever.
Like what you want. You want a brawl, you want a fight, you want a technical match, you want, him to get sympathy. What you want? You want a short match? He can do whatever.
Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns at this point, what they've done these last, when did Roman come back? SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
I don't think, when's the last time we had two dudes that the company loves go out there and have basically acclaimed match after acclaimed match, regardless of how you feel about them, but the effort's there, the want-to's there, the matches, from a technical standpoint, are there as far as in the timing, whatever else. You have issues with Roman's pacing, whatever, I don't care. By the time he gets into that match is on point. These two are giving us what we really be asking for on the main roster. And quite frankly, I don't know what these two shows are like without them two. These two motherfuckers are MVPs. they really are some most valuable wrestlers for their promotions / brands. You can say whatever you want to about Roman and McIntyre's from week to week or whatever else. Big matches, they've been fucking bringing it, and I love it.
Yeah, so that'll take us into the Universal title match, Roman Reigns against Cesaro. Reigns defends and keeps the belt, obviously, against Cesaro. Yeah, I thought this was a really, a slow-paced, great match.
Yes.
I was watching, it was just of course, they got to do his exposition dumps and all that, and I was watching it at low volume, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Now I had to turn the volume up to try to hear what he's saying, but it's just more the same shit. So but I thought they wrestled. I appreciate the clean match, the no bullshit.
Yes.
Finally, and also regular rules match because Roman Reigns, I think all he's done is death matches pretty much. Except for
up until Daniel Bryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until Daniel Bryan, right after Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber or Fastlane was what it was. Before then, it was all the death matches and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Cesaro after the match, they beat him, they jumped him, and then they jumped him some more. If you want to tell me a dude's the fuck out of here, that's how you do it. But another solid match for Reigns. I think people are liking this a lot more than I am, as far as people were telling me this is an all time run he's on. And I'm okay. I don't see that.
I would say this, given that he's not wrestling that much, and you look at, for example, me personally, I gave this match 4.5 stars. I love this match. I think this is Roman's best technical performance in wrestling I've ever seen. There's nothing even fucking close. And like this answers a lot of my questions for when we booked. I think it was last year when we did the fantasy draft, and we were like, we put Roman with Ishii as a fantasy match. Like, given some of the stuff with the arm selling that Cesaro was doing, and then some of the headbutts, I was like, bro, this makes me like that match that we booked in the fantasy draft even more. Like, imagine if it had been Ishii and Cesaro. No, not against Cesaro, but we're talking, and obviously, like, Cesaro's a great, incredible wrestler and sold that thing incredibly, but like, that is the blueprint for a lot of these Ishii matches, is selling hurt, no selling, fighting through, overpowering, selling crazy. Like, that match cut down to 15 minutes and no rest holds in the way that Ishii match formed, like, that's knocked out the park. Great. So it makes me like, I want Ishii. I want Roman in the G1. But anyway, like, I loved it. I love that part of it. I love the part where he goes for the springboard European uppercut that he always has done for years. He does it the first time.
Superman punch.
And then the second one, I was like, I thought he was going to... After he did that the first time, I thought he's going to do a spear. Mm-hmm. And then he actually caught him with the Superman punch. I was like, okay, I see Roman's really in his bag right now. Because Roman's out here, he's now treating the Superman punch as, he used to kind of spam it. Now he's saving that shit almost like the Okada drop kick. He's like, special moments, I'm going to basically do like a combo breaker that stop all momentum and change it over in a perfect way. I loved it. I really enjoyed the hell out of this match. I thought technically, like, it was incredible. There's also elements of like the person gets hurt due to circumstances, and Cesaro's done this before in a couple matches where, like, he'll get quote-unquote hurt, he'll sell that he's hurt initially, and then, like, treat it like it's an actual fight, so I can't sell to my opponent, but the opponent still picked it up, and then it progresses to, like, he's living and dying by his arm, the work on the arm, and the selling, which is, I really enjoyed this match a lot. I really did. Like, the pace, like, this was like the first Roman Reigns pay-per-view match that wasn't a triple threat, that, like, the pacing didn't bother me this time. I know it was still slow. It didn't bother me as much as, like, when he's doing exposition dumps on Jay. This didn't work. Like, the fact that he upped his technical game so much and worked over it and did all that arm work and limb work, that worked for me so much. Like, obviously, Josh Smith has issues with his guillotine. At this point, I don't give a fuck what that guillotine looks like. I know what a guillotine looks like. I know that's not a real guillotine. Everything else was on point on this match. I love this match. I really did. I think this is the best Roman Reigns singles match ever. I really do. I gave 4.
Man.
Yes. Like, what else would you have? What else would you have? The Daniel Bryan stuff, the Brock Lesnar stuff that turned into a 3-way?
Yes.
I love this match. Like, yeah. I feel like
I'd have both of those over this one.
I feel like this match is harder to recreate than those two matches. And the reason why I say it is because I've seen 3 of those Daniel Bryan matches. I just saw one like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when they retired Daniel Bryan. And then the Roman, and then the Brock stuff is like, they could do that anytime they wanted to. Like, this was like the graduation of Roman as a wrestler's progression. Like, you look at what he's doing now with like the even the forearms. So like, he's always throw that Undertaker slap punch thing that I was like, as I've gotten more into Pyro, I just think it's so fake and phony. And like, when he's throwing them forearms, it's like he's so much more improved than he was in 2015. It's scary. He's so much better now as in the ring. Before I used to be like, all right, he has his moves, he has his 5 moves of doom like everybody else does. He's super athletic, he's strong as fuck, and he has great fire, and they'll figure it out from here. Like, now as a technical wrestler, I feel like he has just progressed like 1,000 miles down the road from then. And like, he's so much better now in the ring. I'm gushing about how much I like this fucking match. I really am. Like the last 2 matches actually. I was really impressed. I really was.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Like, I'm still taking the first Daniel Bryan match.
That's fine.
Trying to think.
But the thing is, I've seen 3 of them. I've seen 3 of those matches of the same quality. So when people talk about
it's up there,
the all-time run or whatever else, like, I'll take
the.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think. first AJ Styles. I don't know, one of them AJ Styles matches.
Okay,
I'll take one of them over.
I can't remember, but the first one was the one where they kept restarting the match over and over and over, and then the last one was, I mean, both of those.
Not that one.
Okay, so the second one. So that would be, I think, Money in the Bank, 2016.
Something like that.
Yeah, like, I think, like, look, I think we're talking about slight distinctions or whatever else, but, like, I just enjoyed, like, I was that impressed, because, like, you know, I like the technical wrestling, selling, emotion, desperation thing. Like, I'm into that, and like, the physicality. Like, this was a very physical match for a WWE main event that didn't involve, like, you know, weapons and all shit. It was just a like, this would have been, like, this would have been a main event on the G1. Of a G1 show. I really enjoyed this fucking thing.
Yeah, man. But that's...
And the craziest part about it is, they could have done this in 2014. Like, this match, obviously not that level of match, technical stuff or whatever. They could have had roughly a great match with Cesaro and Roman Reigns in 2014 if they had wanted to.
I mean, they did, like, in 2015. So, like, on Raw. So, like, in... I remember some of the stuff. I think the roles were reversed.
I meant more to capitalize on Cesaro's momentum at the time, as opposed to now, like, we're in 2021. Like, this match that he had is like, this is the stuff this is more of like, yeah, he's been doing this since, like, 2014. Well, obviously way before it, but, like, when his first big matches, when he, you know, like, the NXT takeover stuff with Sami Zayn, like, we've known he's been that dude in the ring and in the big spot. He's an incredible wrestler. We've known that. Like,
I think
he's
what's getting it. I think what's getting it for me is, like, there's no hope for anyone on the roster that makes sense. Like, Cesaro's been on our TV for 10 years. Like, everyone that's on the TV that's challenging Roman Reigns has been around for, like, 10 years. Like, and these people are the ruins, I'll say, of them going so hard with Roman Reigns and not with anyone else. So, like, now he has to wrestle all these guys, and it's like these feel like either retreads, dudes that have no shot in hell, or they're, like, aging out of, like, someone believing in them, essentially. Right. So, like when Jimmy Uso gets his title shot. Yeah, it's like you're trying to tell me that's like.
No one
I'm sorry, like, no one believes that. Like,
but I will say this: at least they're playing on the personal stuff or whatever else, which is going to be still intriguing. But obviously, it's like that's still not, you know, box office. Even though it's like, what the fuck is box office in WB these days?
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. Like, there's nothing that's box office anymore unless you're gonna bring in The Rock. So, like, you may as well go out here and try to tell good stories.
Yeah. So, like. Yeah, I see and I don't even think it's necessarily you need to, like, look down the road and be like, yo, who are they preparing? Yeah. But it's like you look down the card and it's like, well, who the fuck is, like, even winning matches to, like, quote unquote progress that way?
I'm with you.
So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's up in the air. Like, there's no. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but there's no, like, I look at AEW, right? There's, like, Darby and Hangman, like, circling the long play or whatever for this shit. So it's like you have something to look forward to. It's like Reigns, like, now it's like he's over the mountaintop essentially, and it's just like
shit. He is the mountain.
It's like he's just gonna, like, get cashed in on or some shit. Like what's the like that's what I think, you know, is gonna happen. I think.
Are they saving Money in the Bank for, like, live crowd?
I think it's in July, yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like there's, like, a double cross with Paul Heyman, and it could literally be anybody that wins a fucking Money in the Bank, ends this run, and then Roman's back babyface when the crowds come back, like Vince wants, and then, like, I feel like their problem kind of won't be solved, like, and then, like, the person that ends up getting the big win off of this run is Roman Reigns.
Look, man, I don't know, Miro. Like, I haven't thought about machination on what Machiavellian scheme Vince has cooked up to trick people into buying into another Roman Reigns face run. I'm not really concerned. I'm just basically focused on what we're getting right now, because what we're getting right now is so much fucking better than what we were getting. So I'm not saying I think. All that stuff you said is still on point, but it's like, at this point, I don't care. Like, Roman's out here having kick-ass matches in a way that, like, we hadn't really seen since, like, the 2016 run. So, for him personally. So, like, I'm just happy that, like, that's back. Because remember, there was a long time when they wanted to let him wrestle anybody worth a damn forever. So, I'm just happy that we're getting good-ass matches. You know, I treat WWE. I've been talking about my policy. Bro, I'm just happy that I'm just so happy that y'all still do this at any kind of high level, because I just miss y'all as, like, y'all don't really want to do any of this. Like, y'all are in the content business. I'm just happy that y'all decided to give me any good ass match, and I really enjoyed that one.
This man just accepting the scraps. Just please, just.
You gotta keep in mind, like, I don't watch, like, when we do the podcast on Mondays, I'll throw Raw on just to have it on because the TV's right here. But, like, I don't watch Raw. I don't follow Raw. Yeah. Like, I watch list people's reports for this figure out what's going to be what they do on pay-per-view, and then I watch pay-per-view, and then we talk about, like, we're talking right now. But, nah, man, like, I got Stardom, I got NXT, I got AEW, I got New Japan when I ever get the mood to watch New Japan again. I'm kind of set on my wrestling. Like, you know, I have ceiling main events and stuff. Like, that's kind of what I got right now. Like, my plate is kind of full. I don't have time to watch a 3-hour show that's mostly bad. I don't have time to watch a 2-hour show that is halfway good. I want consistently good wrestling or get the fuck out. There's too much good wrestling to be out here talking otherwise. And, like, obviously, it got the star power, but, like, I'm not concerned about that star power like that. Like, I want good stories more than star power. In my personal wrestling, am I different from everybody else? Probably, but, like, I'm doing what I want to do right now.
Yeah, I feel you. 2000 last night instead.
Oh, yeah, it broke up. Say
so I said I was watching WCW 2000 last night instead.
Why?
Just cause? I don't know. Just cause I was able to. But you had Hit Row on the up on the sheet, so Hit Row got named. That was what I was gonna name it last week on the show, but I made y'all watch the show. AJ Francis did like a little freestyle. He can actually rap pretty well. I've checked out some of his music. I like the presentation. I hope it works.
Look, man, you know, Swerve has demonstrated all the stuff you need to get a push and move up the card to NXT. And this is a further example of it. This was one of the best. Since the O'Reilly and Cole stuff, this was like the best talking segment in NXT. So it's been about a month or whatever. It was awesome. It was just awesome. They're the way they were rapping, they're getting themselves over, and it was distinct from one another. Easy to understand. If you pretend like you don't understand, it's because you don't want to understand. This was, you know, it was battle rap, and it was in the context of introducing themselves. I thought this was a home run of a promo, and they're off to the races. I don't know what's in store for their future, but like I'm interested now. I'm interested, and this is like something big and something that NXT really needed as a fresh new act that can be at the top of the card. So
this is the blackest thing in NXT history.
How many more things are blacker in WWE history? It's on the short list. It's on the short list.
Like the Nathan the Domination. Like, yeah, I don't.
So, yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, like it was. I mean, and the thing for me was just like, you know, like just seeing them, and it was in how awesome they were, and like, hey man, like, so what's Max Caster gonna do? He gonna keep doing what he's doing.
He gonna have to like step it up.
Bro. After watching that on Thursday, because I don't watch NXT on Tuesday. After watching that Thursday, I was like, "Hey, bro, you know I'm not even into the Matt Caster thing is like lowest common denominator, as simplistic as possible, so that like these white people that don't listen to rap can understand all the lyrics and everything.
Because he can really rap,
and I'm just like, okay, cool, man. Like it's a rehash of the same thing we've seen before. Like, this level of rapping has never been done on pro wrestling, major pro wrestling, major American pro wrestling. So it's like, this is cool. This actually like feels I don't
authentic.
I don't want to say authentic. I don't want to say authentic. Because I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to, say that kind of stuff that comes that comes with trying to take down Max Caster or Peg. Because I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just saying it's like one person is playing towards the cheap seats and one is playing for us. And I appreciate the fact that like there's somebody actually doing this for us finally. So I thought this was awesome. I really did. And they're off to the races, and like, between this and like what we got with that MMA camp that they're faction they're coming up with, like, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting to see what they do, because I would love for like somewhere down the line, if there is in fact a woman in this MMA camp Diamond Mine thing they're doing or whatever else, like, there's your war games right the fuck there. or maybe they can't do war games because it's be one woman and how that works out. But like, there is a faction brewing, and maybe you should build towards them eventually clashing. That'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm with it.
Yeah, man.
They had three title matches.
I think if Caster wants to be like, because what we're talking about is kind of competing for the airspace, right?
Similar real estate, yeah.
Right, so it's like,
obviously, it's different shows, so that doesn't really come across. But like, people are gonna same thing when we talk about like all these shows. Like, if I've seen one thing and I see it on the other show, I'm naturally gonna compare it, even if y'all aren't trying to do it. Like, and there's only so much of that I can take of something similar. So it's like, it's gonna be natural. There's gonna be comparisons, and it's like one is like real rap raw, the other one is like,
smiling, like,
I don't want to say smiling,
like,
but it's like tongue in cheek,
like,
not serious, and it's like
current event rap, current event stuff, like, like easy to kind of like look around the room, like Jin, like look around the room and freestyle, like about the stuff you see, like that kind of stuff, and it's cool. But I think I believe Max is capable of stepping it up, just because I've heard some of his other stuff, but like, AJ Francis is a monster. Like, I heard one of his freestyles, like, on What Happened to That Boy beat. He can rap. Like, so.
Well, I mean, quite fucking obvious. Like, given what he did the other day.
Yeah. I don't think Swerve's, like, done, like, full rapping promos or anything, but, like, he really doesn't even have to, because, like, AJ Francis will handle all that. Like,
right. And the thing is, like, Swerve has done enough with, those studio promos where it's like, he's golden. Like, as far as he has all the credibility in the world with, as far as there is nothing you can knock against Swerve. You can't say his matches aren't good enough, because they fucking are. It's been obvious since day one. As far as his character, look at all that fucking character you saw in the ring just now, and now he has his operation working behind him. The promos have been there on point ever since he's been.
The look is there.
Since he's been building up to this point. Presents himself, looks like a star. There you go. See you when crowds come back, because this is going to be this looks like they finally got themselves. It's about to be jumping. It's about to be jumping.
Like, I think they're gonna have to turn them, like, they ain't gonna be able to like remain heels for that long.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm laughing. We'll see how that goes, as far as eventually being so good that you have to turn the face. Like, maybe
we'll see some folks raising the roof in there.
I think you're gonna say like the New Day at SummerSlam 2000. Was that 15? When it's like, they got it didn't work. They adjusted some things, made them heels, and they were like they had done all the stuff to where they were like over in front of the smart crowd, quote unquote. So yeah, like. I don't know if that necessarily happens or whatever else, but either way, like, the work is going to be so good, and the promos is going to be so good, and the character stuff is already been on point, that there's no reason, unless they start doing something stupid, that this is going to be like what we're doing. And like, NXT has been pretty much so consistent with their shows this year that is like, I don't even know what the fuck 2020 was when the pandemic hit. I don't even, like, it's unrecognizable. So like. Yeah, this was like one of the most fun weeks of wrestling I've had in a while. Like, between Dynamite's great matches with NXT, with like the quality of matches they had, like their cruiserweight match, 2 out of 3 falls. Like, I really liked how they formatted this match. Like, Hill dominated, Hill got the win. They liked it about to cut commercial break, and then Kushida just gets up and hits him with a flash submission. Obviously, heels don't want to waste struggling, so they tap out, go to commercial break, and then they go to the final fall. Kushida just works over his arm left and right, and then he pins this man by giving that man a hammerlock Northern Light suplex and bridged up. And he's like, his arm's been fucked up forever, and then pinned that man. I really enjoyed that finish. I thought it was a great match. Like, I really enjoyed like what American Wrestling gave me this past week. I really did. As far as in the ring, like obviously the Cody thing is his own thing, the Mimosa thing, whatever else. But like in the ring, like major American professional wrestling brought it this week. And I was really happy.
Man, Nick Aldis would be happy.
So I think at this point where we need to wrap it up.
A little long today, but a lot
of stuff.
Pay-per-view week.
A lot of stuff. Got to talk about Joe Budden. Got to talk about Cody's ass and that nonsense.
God damn. Only One Nation Radio. Oh, we did have a question.
Okay.
I think. Hold on. Let me check this out. Oh, we got a couple that rolled in here. Okay. MJ Does PR says, do you like Mox coming out the Wild Thing? We answered that earlier. Yes, loved it. So he said, now that TK is opening the bag for entrance theme rights, give us your top 3 songs you'd want to hear in a wrestling setting.
Ooh, boy, you brought up a really question that needs a lot of thought, and you thought we were just going to run it off the top of our domes. We'll get to you next week on that one. Let's say we'll get to him next week on that one. We'll answer
that one, MJ. He said he would go with You Don't Know from Jay-Z, Bomb Track for Rage Against the Machine, and the Dipset Anthem.
Well, I mean, naturally for Eddie Kingston, you got to do DMX Stop Being Greedy. Because, like, his song is a knockoff version of DMX Stop Being Greedy. So you may as well just get the real
Same
thing.
sample.
It's a way better fucking song. Obviously. So I guess that's one. Other stuff, I'd have to think about it. I'd
probably say I really mean it.
For who, though?
I have no idea.
See what I'm saying? Like, yeah, give us. We'll figure some stuff out. Rich will give out his list. I'll give out mine next week. That's what we'll do.
Yeah. So I think this is Muzza. He says, "Which do you prefer, Dead Man Taker or Biker Taker?"
Oh, me, Dead Man Taker. Like the biker stuff, I think is just like that was also like during the worst stretches or worst run of his career as far as just doing awful shit. He was out of shape. He didn't, he was politicking heavy to get WCW motherfuckers the fuck out of there. Like, nah, man, it's clearly. You look at like his best matches, almost aside from what? Actually, I don't even know. I think is that angle match? Was he Dead Man Taker doing an angle match?
Yes.
Okay, so aside from that, like almost the vast majority of his best matches are all his dead man. So what are we even talking about? And also his top drawing years. So what are we even talking about?
Yeah, I would say I like the Biker Taker more than most people do. I actually think a lot of people do like Biker Taker. I do like the Undertaker pretty much after 2006, I want to say. Up until probably like the CM Punk match.
Yeah, that's basically when he like figured like, hey man, like let's put this shit all together. Like before it was like living off of all the hocus pocus stuff, and then it's like let's do the real work or whatever else. Like yeah, absolutely. Like he every single year, like since we had been back for the longest, it was like he's gonna give us a banger at one point during the year, a match of the year contender for the company. So yeah, I'm with you. For me, it's Dead Man Undertaker. I think it's relatively easy.
He also says Tomohiro Ishii versus Saya Ida, over or under 4.5 stars.
Ooh. I'll take. I'll take the push right at 4.5. I'm not gonna go higher than 4.5.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a good over under because like Ida, that's the thing that sucks so much about her tearing her ACL was like you saw it in the Sealand match. Like you don't watch like Stardom. You more or less like I give you stuff and you watch whoever else and obviously you're like really into whatever I send you, but like it's something about watching her on the house shows, how consistent she is and like the punishment she takes and the ass whoop she takes and the job she has done and the way she bumps. It's like and you already know about like what we talk about, like her great fire, like all that stuff and everything. Like she's really enjoyable to watch, and somebody you root for. But like, if she was in, and obviously she is a power wrestler or whatever, but like it's a match made in heaven. Like if she were to wrestle Ishii, it's like, all right, she is somebody who's been wrestling for 2 years, or close to 3 years. No, let's see, 19, 20. This is her 3rd year working, the bottom prelims or whatever else. And then when she gets her chance, she's had great matches. She had a 3.5-star match with a woman that can't move. That's 16. Like, you see where this is going. Like, and then she wrestles like the best person in that particular style that she wrestles. Yes, it will go off the fucking hook. It really would. And like, that's a match where it's just like,
that's funny.
If that happened, it'd just be awesome. It'd be a blast, and people would be like, "Who the hell is this girl?" Oh yeah, that's the best, one of the best jobbers in the world. Like, yeah, she does. That would be awesome.
JML has a question. He said, last question. It says, imagine Bushiroad striking a deal with AEW and taking on one New Japan roster member and one Stardom roster member to have an extended tour in AEW. Who would you choose from each roster to come over to AEW for a year-long run?
And I don't have to worry about the ramifications of them being pulled out of Japan for a year. I only got to worry about the AEW side.
Yeah. I know I'd take
for New Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to kind of say Ospreay, right?
I'm gonna pick Shingo.
Okay. I mean, I can see it. I mean, like, Shingo's fucking awesome. Like, I mean, there's like a number of people that on both these lists were like, there's no wrong answer here. It's just more of a
like, hell, at this point, Okada, bring your ass over here. You ain't got nothing to do right now.
Okada got a slip disc, though. Do you really want to take pass it?
It's quote unquote easier here,
Okay, fair enough. I would say just for the fact of making it easier to like build programs, money or whatever else. Like, Jericho and Omega, or Jericho be campaigning for it to be Ospreay.
Yeah. So would Kenny.
You think so?
Well, Kenny will want either Shingo or Ospreay.
You don't think you want Ibushi to finally do his match?
You know what? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll pick Shingo though.
Okay. I'll go Ospreay.
So as far as Stardom, there are two people.
It's been a lot easier had this been when Hannah was around, because it'd been like Hannah, because she, like, she loves America. It would fit in. Like, she probably has the best English anyone that was on the roster that is actually native.
I'm gonna take Julia.
I don't know how Julia works here with the... Obviously, she's a top star, so if you pick any top star would work. I just have concerns of people being like, well...
Actually, you know what? I'm not going to take Julia. And the reason I'm not going to take Julia is because, like, there's Jade and there's Britt that are around that kind of have, like, that same... kind of vibe as her,
and then they'll have opportunities to get over in a way that she won't be able to because of the language barrier.
Right.
And like, I just think
I might go the other direction.
Like, so for me, when it comes to that comparison, it's like, I don't like, Julia's not going to out charisma Jade or Britt, because like Jade is more naturally charismatic than her, and Britt is one of the better talkers we have right now, and like, Julia's never gonna be able to do that here. It would be unfair to even think she could.
I at this one, I gotta think. I gotta think Shuri's the answer here, and
there's an easy storyline right there. You put in there and have her fucking murder Sheeta.
Bring her in. She could either tag with her, murder her, one of the two, or just kick the shit out of everybody.
I mean, and then you could throw in like, oh yeah, she was signed to UFC. The best female kicker in the game right now. Like, yeah, man, she Shuri's a great answer because Shuri's a great answer for anything involving wrestling. Like, super fucking charismatic. She could do comedy. She could be a fucking killer if she needed to be. Like, she's like, you think of all the stuff we were talking about with like Asuka and her, like peak Asuka in WWE is like, yeah, Shuri does that, except Shuri's taller.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love Shuri so much. Okay. What
do you think about Azumi?
Who do they have the wrestler? Who's advanced enough to be able to do those kind of matches? Well, yeah, that's a natural matchup.
I think Red Velvet.
Yes, that makes sense. Yuka, if you can get Yuka in, and obviously Shida. As far as wanting to bring somebody in and have it be like so remember when they talked about how they want the Joshis to be kind of like their cruiserweight division, where it's like they're gonna have these matches that like you were not expecting from people and blow you away. Yep. If you want to do that, then like, yeah, Azumi's an obvious choice. Azumi's like, Jesus Christ.
Well, she could wrestle Emi Sakura when that partnership is rolling.
Yeah, I mean, she can wrestle anyone. She's that good. Like, she can wrestle anyone. She can wrestle anyone. She's that good. And but the thing is, like, she's 18. It's like, and I've seen her as a heel. I've seen her as a baby, or on top. I've seen her work underneath. Like, it all works regardless. Like, she's just so good. But it's like,
I'll do that Shuri and Ty Conti match.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't. That might mess up someone's article that they're writing, but like, yeah, I suggested that as a dream match for like an AEW Stardom merger, Shuri versus Ty Conti, and just have them go out there and just knee and kick the shit out of each other. So yeah, I think I'll go with Azumi. I think my final answer for the Stardom side. Like, obviously, you can go with Mayu in because she's the best wrestler. But I think I don't think that, like, if you realistically try to do that, I think Mayu coming over to America would be a disaster for her personally. So and we talked about it before. Like, I don't think she's built to be like doing wrestling overseas for like long term. Or in some type of like live over situation. I just don't think she's built for that. One of the best wrestlers in the world, obviously. Like, I voted her. What did I vote her, second or third for best wrestler last year?
I think you voted, something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, so like that's kind of what it is. So I'll go with Azumi.
Mayu could come wrestle to Abaddon, or Mel, or
what? Why are you suggesting these things? Are you trying to control
Leva Bates?
Why are you suggesting
Rebel?
Why are you suggesting these bad matches? Why?
Last time she was in America, she was out here with Kelly Klein.
That yes. Got on MSG though.
Yeah,
that's what really matters. The funniest part is like she. Like, you see the chemistry issues she was having with Kelly Klein. It's like, Kelly Klein's not that good. And then, like, you see her have her Ring of Honor title match in Stardom against Konami, and it's like, Jesus Christ, those two. It's like, this is not a miscommunication thing. This is like, Konami is fucking up here, Kelly Klein is fucking down here, and there you go. But yeah, that was one of the best matches Stardom in 2019. But yeah, I think Azumi's my answer. Be like, you had this 18-year-old doing all this kind of crazy shit? What? She's not even, but like, she's so super coordinated, so fast, so fluid, she's innovative, and like, she's not like some flippy person. Like, she will beat the shit out of you. And she's tough. Like, and she's doing all these crazy bumps on her neck and shoulder and head. Like, she's awesome. I'd like
to see Shuri and Thunder Rosa.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, Shuri and Thunder Rosa would be awesome. It would be.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening to the show, y'all. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Also, check out the donation page in Red Circle. Hit us with a donation if you feel like it. Help you boys. And
so we ain't got to go broke. So we can share this profit.
Yes. Full circle. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. I actually got a tweet. Oh yeah, check out the Olds on Top shirt, new design. I actually got a tweet or reply from somebody that is running an Olds on Top Twitter page. Who is running that page, Rich? I didn't ask you about this earlier. Who's running that page?
Who do you think's running that page?
Dan?
Yeah, Dan's running that shit.
Okay, so I thought it was either you or Dan. I wasn't for sure. So yeah, there you go.
Quite hilarious, I might add. Follow the Olds on Top Twitter page.
Shout out to Dan.
You know, Tamina just won the tag belts. Olds on Top.
Yes. The oldest combined age for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, Natalya and Tamina. Congrats to them. Olds on top. Also check out the other shows in the network: One Nation Radio, Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Podcast, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, and Great Match Generator. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Hey, listen to that J. Cole album. Shit's fire.
I gotta check it out still. You know, I also gotta get around to that Khaled album too, apparently. We'll see how that goes.
Nah, you can skip that.
Alright, y'all. Later.
Peace.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Have you tried the Name Your Price tool yet? It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to find a rate that works for you. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive. Get your quote today at Progressive.com and see why 4 out of 5 new auto customers recommend Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G. Because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.